Chapter 123 Golden Tyrant Body Art. Chapter 123 Golden Tyrant Body Art. A morning ray of warmth spilled into the house onto Zhuofan's peaceful face. His eyelids trembled and he smiled, looking at the person in his arms. He and Qingtian lived their days in peace like a game of house. They toiled by day and rested in the same bed by night. Although nothing happened, they leaned on each other, giving a sense of peace to both. Zhuofan, who was a ruthless demon, never stumbled upon such feelings before. Perhaps this is the warmth of a family. Zhuofan watched the beauty in his arms absent-mindedly. Qingtian's appearance could incite wars. As the saying went, a woman was a hero's downfall. He has experienced this firsthand. Living a peaceful life with Qingtian was all that was on his mind right now. What's the point of rising to the top? What's the point of ruling the world? How can it compare to a beauty's smile? Perhaps this is what they call to fall from grace. But so what? I am willing to fall, ha ha ha. Zhuofan laughed inside. The ever-unchanging demonic emperor was wavering. He gazed at Qingtian resting on his chest. Zhuofan couldn't help but want to lean in for a kiss. Whoosh! Suddenly, Qingtian opened her eyes and threw them out of the house. Bam! The house went up in flames, turning into ashes in an instant. From the rising ashes, a figure emerged, the outraged Huangpu Qingyun. The fire in his eyes burned even hotter when he saw Qingtian and Zhuofan holding hands. Man, I just fixed the house. Huangpu Qingyun was angry, Zhuofan was pissed. This was his and Qingtian's quiet home. And it barely lasted a couple of days before it went up in smoke. Son of a bitch! You've gone too far. You take me for a meek lamb? These days of peace and quiet seemed to have gone to his head. It made him forget he was acting as Song Yu. Zhuofan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He took a step forward, ready to get Huangpu Qingyun acquainted with pain, but Qingtian blocked him and whispered, Song Yu, stay behind me. Finally realizing what he was about to do, Zhuofan relaxed his fists. He couldn't step in now, or Regent Estate would have an excuse to move against Drifting Flowers' edifice and ruin all his plans. These days have been so relaxing that I forgot about the bigger picture. Zhuofan cursed inside, then sighed. Qingtian, I will leave it to you. Qingtian. It only worked to inflame Huangpu Qingyun's anger. You're on a first-name basis now, like a cheating couple? I will make sure you will die miserably today. Huangpu Qingyun, watch your mouth? Who's a cheating couple? Qingtian glared. Humph, you're asking me? Qingtian, even when we settled on the agreement, you did not once remove your veil for me. Yet now you just let a damn punk see you first. Qingtian's eyes were cold. Huangpu Qingyun, you're the one who broke our agreement first. Why would I ever show you my face? Hold on, you lost me there. Zhuofan stepped in. You are so petty. She only lifted her veil and you want to kill me? Even with Qingtian as your childhood sweetheart, you only don't wish for anyone to have a look at her appearing? Your reaction is uncalled for. It is not like I steal your wife or something. As the saying went, silence was golden. Huangpu Qingyun was now an explosive, ready to blow. Rotten punk, you dare feign ignorance? You're dead, you hear? Huangpu Qingyun punched despite being 300 meters away. Nonetheless, a golden light flew from his fist and arrived in a blink. Zhuofan's heart froze. The body refining art he used could not be compared to Zhuofan's secret refining art, but was top-notch nonetheless in normal cases. A profound heaven expert killing a bone-tempering cultivator was an easy feat. However, the distance had to be a bit smaller, or the yuan qi would fade before it could pass through a bone-tempering expert's tough body. Yet, this light was different. Zhuofan was certain this attack would have nailed your average bone-tempering expert. Then again, he wasn't your average one either and could handle it. Zhuofan made some guesses, and even with this advantage, he knew his odds of winning were decent. If he were to fight, he dispatched the third layer of profound heaven stage Yu-Giki with ease. Yet, currently, he felt like he was going to have a hard time against this second layer expert. It spoke volumes of the Regent Estate's strength. Watch out. Qingtian pulled Zhuo Fan 10 meters away, dodging the light. He heard a boom and looked to see a 30-meter large stone pulverized. Qingtian was flustered. She knew Huangpu Qingyun was strong, but not to this extent. Her expression was grave. Humph, Qingtian, did you see that? That punk only knows how to hide behind your skirt. When danger comes, you always have to protect him in the end. Such a man is unworthy of you. Huangpu Qingyun snorted. Qingtian raised her head high and, "This is what I desire. Aren't most of the drifting flowers edifices men all like this?" Qingtian, I don't mean to argue, but I don't hide behind women." Zhuo Fan's voice was quite naive, but this was something he could not let go. He needed to make a point here. He was none other than the demonic emperor. His name was at stake. Even if he was in a disguise, this was a matter of pride, and he couldn't get sloppy in times like these. Glaring at him, Qingtian lashed. "Zip it! No one was talking to you." "Ha ha ha, well said. If you call yourself a man, then don't freakin' hide behind a woman. Come out and face me alone." Huangpu Qingyun gave a taunting laughter. Zhuo Fan's eyes went cold, staring at him with killing intent, though he didn't let it get to him. "We will fight, don't you worry, but not today. There's no harm in killing you 2 days later." The two watched him in shock, and even Qingtian looked at him funny. What gave this brat the nerve to speak so boldly? Huangpu Qingyun was in the second layer of profound heaven stage, and a body cultivator. Yet, he was just a second layer of bone-tempering cultivator from a third-rate clan. The gap could not be bigger, though his eyes spoke how confident he was of turning this threat into reality. Ha ha ha, perfect. Huangpu Qingyun was laughing from anger. He didn't expect a day would come when a nobody would predict his death. It was utterly ridiculous. This punk must have lived in a cave and knows nothing of Regent Estate's power. I just displayed my power, yet he still dares speak with such nerve. "No need to wait, I will squeeze the life out of you right now." In the wake of Huangpu Qingyun's words, he leaped at Zhuo Fan. Qingtian held Zhuo Fan behind her in concern and had her other hand struck forward. Bam! Huangpu Qingyun's advance stopped, his fist was covered in ice. While Qingtian flew 20 meters, leaving a trail of blood. Humph, Qingtian. For a brat, you even dared to use the arcane moon art to block me. Huangpu Qingyun flicked the ice on his hand away. You only have yourself to blame for what is about to happen. Roaring, Huangpu Qingyun stomped his feet and a golden light enveloped his body. There was even a faint golden dragon above his head. With a faint dragon roar, 6 golden dragons wound around his body. Dragon vein body refining. Zhuo Fan finally got to know the source of his body's power. He trained his body with the essence of dragon veins. Every dragon vein held the essence of earth. The power of earth was unshakable, lofty, and tough. Refining his body with this essence was like turning one's body into a mountain, holding both power and stability. Speaking of Huangpu Qingyun's body refining method, it was another path leading to the same result as his own. Zhuo Fan's body was cast using the blood of the earth, diamond sand. It was made with a great deal of earth essence. Both of them held similar bodies, but there were some disparities. While Zhuo Fan was a living weapon, Huangpu Qingyun was half human, half weapon. The gap was small but will be magnified as one's cultivation increased. Qingtian cried in panic. Regent Estate's profound ranked martial art, golden tyrant body art. He, Qingtian, I told you not to shield this punk with your life. Huangpu Qingyun charged at Zhuo Fan. Qingtian's palms danced. Tens of white ribbons flew at Huangpu Qingyun and encased him like a mummy, yet the next moment they were ripped to shreds and Qingtian spat blood while recoiling 10 more steps. Huangpu Qingyun's speed wasn't affected in the least. Zhuo Fan clenched his fist, ready to unfold his lightning wings. It seems that have no choice but to reveal myself and fight this guy to the death. Chapter 124 Zhuo Fan's Wrath. Chapter 124 Zhuo Fan's Wrath. Flowing spaces 9 forms, space rupturing form. Purple lightning gold eye. Cold jade palm. Peony finger! Following many yells, 4 attacks of great power descended. They were composed of purple lightning, lofty sword intent, a deep chilling wind, and a deep yet flexible power. They hammered Huangpu Qingyun and forced him to withdraw 3 steps as 4 figures stood in front of Zhuofan and Chu Qingqing Jian Suifeng, Long Zhuo, Iris Overseer and Peony Overseer. The overseers rushed to Chu Qingqing and checked her wounds, while the first 2 were on high alert for any of Huangpu Qingyun's sudden movements. When the dust settled, Huangpu Qingyun had a frosty expression, but unharmed in any way. This caused a great deal of shock. The 4 elders used their most masterful skills against Huangpu Qingyun. But even though they lacked the intent to kill, he had no damage whatsoever, not even a bruise or a cut. This only worked to put them on guard. No wonder Regent Estate's Golden Tyrant body art was the strongest of the 7 houses. This is monstrous. Whoosh! 3 more figures landed, Vicious Pill King, Lin Zitian, and Hell Valley's 5th elder next to Huangpu Qingyun. They took a glance at the situation and could guess what happened. Hee. Such gall, you have to strike the second young master. Vicious Pill King laughed coldly, taking advantage of the occasion to sow chaos. If you want to fight, we will gladly entertain you. Lin Zitian and 5th elder exchanged glances, then looked at Huangpu Qingyun. They had no choice but to bear through this. Not stepping forth now was getting on the Regent Estate's bad side. With shivering hearts, Long Zhuo's group looked at each other with determination on their faces. Huangpu Qingyun was bad enough, but now that the other 3 showed up, it would be hard to come out on top in this battle. In an instant, Long Zhuo and Jian Suifeng looked at Zhuofan without even realizing it. Zhuofan had Yu Geki's killing under his belt. He was both brave and devious. The most dependable man here weren't they, the elders, but him. Squinting, Zhuofan locked his eyes on Vicious Pill King. If battle erupted, Vicious Pill King posed the biggest threat. Long Zhuo and the others would suffer at this old dog's poisonous trick. Before anything happened, he had to remove this danger from the equation. This may diverge from Zhuofan's original plan, but things kept coming one after the other. Who knew it would come to this? I have no choice but to be firm with my decisions and get rid of this headache first. Zhuofan slowly moved, boring into Vicious Pill King with killing intent. Yen Song was in the dark regarding Zhuofan's threat. Killing him would be easy when his guard was down. Jian Suifeng and Long Zhu noticed his eyes and understood. He came to a decision. Trading blows here was the same as falling out with Regent Estate and the other 3 houses. The 7 houses' war would erupt. None of them could see if this was a fortune or disaster for their house. What they did know was that the die was cast and they had to strike. Hold on! Huangpu Qingyun shouted to stop everyone in place, and he looked at Chu Qingqing. Qingqing, think this through? Are you going to side with them? Chu Qingqing wiped the blood from her mouth and stepped in front of the others. She turned to Zhuofan, then the Black Cloak, and her eyes steeled. Yes, I have never been more certain. Fine, be that way. I wish you all a long life. Huangpu Qingyun spat the last 2 words with thick sarcasm, evident of the rancor and curses running through his head. He said his piece, and left with his group. As they passed by Zhuofan, he gave a laughter seeping with contempt. Punk, Drifting Flowers edifice never had males, are you haha? Hold up, where did you get that idea? Zhuofan raised a taunting eyebrow. Wasn't Chu Qingtian a man? His actions were foolish, true, but he was a man through and through. He hid for a decade for Drifting Flowers edifice, only to die at Drifting Flowers edifice's hands. Yet, this pitiful hero was now viewed as a black stain. Zhuofan didn't condone such idiotic behavior. Why would anyone throw away their lives for a bunch of broads who treated men like nothing more than tools, only using them to secure their little sanctuary? That was no mere idiocy, but downright madness. However, his loyalty was praiseworthy even in Zhuofan's eyes. If he was truly a man, it would have been best if he stuck to sleeping with women. Ha ha ha! Huangpu Qingyun mocked, loathing displayed on his face. Vicious Pill King snickered at Zhuofan, making it obvious he was speaking to everyone present. Qingtian was once my disciple. To be honest, his alchemy skill was top-notch, but he was too blinded by pride, holding everyone beneath him. He was a helpless dreamer, believing he alone was enough to refine the antidote and cure Drifting Flower's edifice. The results speak for itself. He is more of a fool than anybody else. Vicious Pill King walked away, pleased after seeing Qingtian clenching her fists, but still couldn't help pouring more salt on the wound. This is a world of men and wisdom. Fools and women that dare covet it will only get burnt. Damn that Vicious Pill King! Long Zhuo knew the ins and outs of the situation, and his lone eyes flickered in rage. He looked back at Qingtian to see her trembling in anger. Long Zhuo shook his head and whispered to Zhuo, "Little brother, talk to Chu about the alliance between us three houses." "No need." Zhuofan's eyes flickered with coldness and spoke, eyeing the departing group. "That is your matter. What I want is to make that insufferable guy know the true meaning of being a man." Long Zhuo's heart seized. He opened his mouth many times, but Zhuofan's unfeeling face stopped him. He never saw Zhuofan looking so scary before. When Huangpu Qingyan's group got back to Drifting Flower's edifice's guest rooms, the Vicious Pill King asked, "Second young master, why did you let them go? We were more than enough to deal with them." "Fool!" Huangpu Qingyan berated. "Killing them is easy, but what then? It will incite war among the 7 houses. Even if we win, we will have to pay a heavy price for it." "Second young master, why do you say that?" the others asked. Huangpu Qingyan laughed mockingly and said, "Don't forget, Tianyu holds not just the 7 noble houses, but the 4 pillars." His voice drifted off, but everyone was clear. So Regent Estate's ambition was to reach such a height. In any case, Drifting Flower's edifice is already close to fall. Don't mind those corner dogs. As for Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquis Abode, humph, I am now certain they are opposing us. We would have had to deal with them sooner or later. "Brilliant, second young master." They all bowed, but each thought differently. Pill King Hall had long surrendered, while Hell Valley was grinning at his enemy's predicament. Veiled Dragon Pavilion kicked an iron board this time. As for Mary Woods's Qingtian, he was an opportunist. Seeing others bowing, he did the same, to avoid trouble befalling on his head. Meanwhile, Zhuofan walked out of Drifting Flower's edifice's guest room and sighed towards the sun. Yesterday, he was caught up in his own delusion. He thought the world was made of just he and Qingtian, where the others mattered little. Today, he re-entered the mortal world and shook his head out of regret. If not for Huangpu Qingyan's disturbance, I would have still been with Qingtian in that quaint house as nothing but simple farmers. But even without yesterday's event, he would have only one day until the 100-pill meeting, where he had to put his plan in motion. His future didn't lay in that quiet farmhouse. "I am but a simple worker." Zhuofan sighed at the sky. A white figure suddenly landed, Qingtian. But before he could scream, she took him into the air. "Come with me." An hour later, they landed in the slums again. But they weren't the only ones there this time. There were the Dong siblings and Xiao Dandan. Zhuofan was puzzled as to what it was about Qingtian. Giggled. "You visited grandmother and my family. Now it's only reasonable that I visit your parents, but it's a way off and can only see your friends for now." Qingtian pulled Zhuofan and invited the others into a small rundown house. Xiao Dandan was dumbstruck. Why is Edifice Lord with him here? She accomplished her master's order by bringing the Dong siblings here, where in fact they were meeting with Edifice Lord. While she was dumbstruck, the Dong siblings were floored. Meeting the evil Xiao Dandan first thing in the morning, they thought Drifting Flower's edifice was about to settle the score with them and were on edge the whole way here. But seeing Edifice Lord holding hands with his brother, their whole world collapsed. Just how did Song Yu do it? How did a third-rate clan young master end up with the leader of one of the 7 noble houses, Drifting Flower's edifice? The #1 beauty in Tianyu, Qingtian. Sister, I often told you, you should have caught him first. Now all hope is lost. Dong Tianba stared at the couple. In a daze Dong Xiaowan lamented inside, not expecting this to happen. How could I have known Brother Song Yu and Drifting Flowers Edifice's Lord would have become an item? While they were bitter, Xiao Dandan felt like crying. She finally found herself a worthy man only to have her boss become her love rival. What could she possibly do now? The three were now more bitter than ever. Chapter 125, Yours truly does not and will not owe favors. Chapter 125, Yours truly does not and will not owe favors. Sit down and relax. Many delicacies had already been laid on a worn and old table, courtesy of Chu Qingtian's cooking. She was still hiding her face behind the veil, but her every gesture and elegant demeanor made her seem like the perfect wife. Her tone was neither haughty nor overbearing. She acted just like any ordinary young wife receiving faraway guests. The trio stiffly took seat. They had Chu Qingtian's invitation, but this does not mean that their heart was at ease. On the contrary, Zhuo was feeling right at home after having spent time with Chu Qingtian the past few days. His movements were casual and frank. He spoke normally. Like a simple family. Dong Tianba began to envy him. Lil Bro must have had quite the heavenly fortune for Chu Qingtian to look at him. Xiao Dandan and Dong Xiaowan were staring at him all this time, but Chu Qingtian's presence left them sour inside. They felt inadequate in front of such a world-class beauty that they lowered their heads. They passed the day in a peaceful and cheerful manner. Once dusk was setting in, Chu Qingtian sighed. It's getting late and we should part ways. What parting do you speak of when tomorrow's the 100-pill meeting? Zhuo raised an eyebrow, shaking her head in sorrow. Chu Qingtian pulled his hand and said to the rest, Come with me. She walked ahead, with others rushing to catch up. They soon turned to a lonely road where a worn-out carriage stood. That carriage belonged to none other than the Song clan. Zhuo reappropriated. There were also 6 people standing close to it. Dong Tianba's 4 elders and the Peony and Iris overseers standing at the front of the group. This caught them by surprise, not understanding what was going on. Go. Chu Qingtian pointed at the carriage. Leave by night and make haste in hiding your clans. You may still have a chance to survive. What's going on? Edifice Lord Chu, why are you driving us away? Did we offend you? Dong Tianba cried, so scared his legs were quaking. Chu Qingtian shook her head. Forgive me. It is not your fault but mine. I didn't want to drag you into this, but Huangpu Qingyun is petty. I fear he will strike you out of spite. Huangpu the Regent Estate? Dong Tianba was alarmed, on the verge of tears. Why would Regent Estate be involved with us? We did nothing to them. Your Dong clan has not been destroyed, so why are you crying? Zhuo snorted and turned to Chu Qingtian. What are you planning? Don't do anything stupid, there's still room to turn this around. Chu Qingtian shook her head and caressed his cheek. I know what I'm doing. Just that I need your help with something. Zhuo eyed her suspiciously. She pulled Xiao Dandan, who was still in shock, and rested her hand in Zhuo's. Please watch over Dandan. She may very well be the last member of our Drifting Flowers Edifice house. Edifice Lord. Xiao Dandan was panicking and Zhuo paled. But before he could speak, Chu Qingtian stopped them. This is my last wish. You have to do this for me. Chu Qingtian took her storage ring and gave it to Xiao Dandan. Dandan, take this with you on your journey with Song Yu to his clan. But you can only look inside once you arrive. Take care of your husband and don't be so willful, all right? Xiao Dandan nodded in tears. Peony Overseer found it unbearable as she shouted, It's late, leave quickly. If they find you, you won't get another chance. Dong Tianba didn't understand, but was clear to the danger. Rushing inside the carriage with his sister, Zhuo knew Chu Qingtian wanted to give Drifting Flowers Edifice a chance at revival. He had a plan in mind but wasn't sure it was foolproof. So he followed Chu Qingtian's wishes and pulled Xiao Dandan into the carriage. Chu, was it worth entrusting everything to that man? Iris Overseer frowned, shaking her head. Qingtian said, aren't all our hopes resting on them leaving safely? What more is there to say? Yet, she couldn't fight back the tears, feeling disappointed by Zhuofan's last act. We will never see each other again. Can't you at least show some reluctance for the sake of all the precious little time we spent together? But they were unaware what Zhuofan was thinking. Their thoughts were completely worlds apart from each other. They took this as a final parting, while Zhuofan took it as making a delivery. He'd be dropping off Xiao Dandan to a safe place before running straight back. I'm only a delivery boy, and soon will come back running. What final? What parting? Let us return. Tomorrow we have a bitter fight on our hands. Qingtian took a deep breath to rein in her emotions, then flew back. The overseers were right behind her. Night came, and soon darkness gave way to the sun's rays. Qingtian stood alone in her room, watching the grandiose building outside. It was the place where the 100-pill meeting was held, and their final battle. Chu. Iris Overseer flashed next to her and nodded. Everything's ready. All that's left is for that old dog to come. Good. Qingtian's eyes flashed with resolve. Drifting Flowers edifice may fall, but that old dog will go down with it. Blood for blood. Let's go. Meanwhile, Zhuofan rode the carriage all night and was now 100 miles out of Drifting Flowers City. He thought it was enough, loosened the reins and jumped down. All right, you guys leave. I'm going back. Darling, wait! Xiao Dandan cried out from inside. You can't go back. Won't you make Sister Qingtian's sacrifice in vain? Who's your darling? Don't shout without thinking. Isn't Qingtian your edifice lord? What a cheeky disciple, calling her sister. Reddening, Xiao Dandan replied coyly, isn't it because you are my husband? Edifice lord has given my hand to you personally. So, you are my husband in every sense of the word. And Edifice lord is your wife as well. What else can I do but call her sister? What? When did Qingtian become my wife? Zhuofan was floored, scratching his head. Dong Tianba stuck out of the carriage and sighed. Bro, how are you so slow in the head? Both of you were so close in that broken house that even a blind man could see you two are married. How could you not? What she said should have been an obvious enough hint. Yesterday you visited her family, today she visited your friends. What else could it be if not to show everyone that you two were married? That can't be. I always thought she saw me as her younger brother to relive her old warm memories. How? Zhuofan was dumbfounded. He, a demon through and through, with his nose always deep plotting against others, was clueless in matters between a man and a woman. Even if he were to engage in such acts, it would only be a stepping stone for a greater purpose, faking through it all. He had never ever truly experienced romantic love. Xiao Dandan watched Zhuofan cautiously as she muttered, then darling, let me ask you, did you see her face? Don't call me that. Zhuofan shook away her approaching hand in loathing, then thought about it. I have, twice. Then it is indeed so. Edifice lord has never married before. If a man were to see her face, she would either kill him off or resign her duty as edifice lord and marry him. Xiao Dandan raised an eyebrow. Since husband is safe and sound, it speaks of Sister Chuchu's decision of recognizing you as a husband. Zhuofan suddenly recalled the moment he made a sneak attack on Chuchu for her Bodhi Jade sap, only to take her face cover. She was deeply conflicted then. She was hesitating whether to kill me or to marry me. That was way too dangerous. If not for my boyish charm and dashing good looks that no woman on this wide green earth can resist, Qingtian would have killed me by now. What can I say? I'm too much of a dashing rogue, only matched by my luck. Wait, aren't I song you now? Zhuofan's confidence hit rock bottom. Well, at least the kid's pretty face had some use and saved my life. Or maybe it was my wonderful personality that won her over. Zhuofan sank in delusions. But what he didn't take into consideration was where exactly did the wonderful part fit a demon like him. Darling, if you still don't believe me, the ring Sister Chu gave has to be holding that item. His constant hesitation led Xiao Dandan to defy the task entrusted to her by Qingtian. She took out the item in the ring, all to justify her position as his wife. After the light dimmed, three things appeared in front of everyone's eyes. One was the black cloak Zhuo Fan already saw, and the second a small bottle. He also knew this contained the Bodhi Jade sap. He immediately snatched it, overcome with joy. I've run all over the place for this, only to fall so easily in my lap. Ha ha ha. Xiao Dandan said, the Bodhi Jade sap is Sister Qingtian's dowry. If you take it, then you are accepting Sister Qingtian and me. Xiao Dandan blushed at the last part. Zhuo Fan was in a daze. After he heard what she said, all smiles were wiped from his face. He was a demonic emperor that had no scruples, but never ever owed favors. It would have been better if he had stolen it. Yet, the fact remained that it was given to him by someone, along with a free gift attached. If he took it, then he had to accept the gift, but accepting Xiao Dandan. Ha ha ha, sorry, but the first impression I have of you already ruined it for me. I won't be taking you. Now he turned to the third item, a wooden piece of wood with the words, Beloved Wife Qingtian's memorial tablet written on it. Zhuo Fan's eyes squinted and cried, What is this? Xiao Dandan sighed, I shouldn't be telling you this, but I once heard Master mention that they were ready to fall with the vicious Pill King. Damnation! You think they'll succeed to drag that old geezer down when they couldn't even keep this plan hidden from a mere disciple? Humph, a bunch of foolish women going to their doom. Zhuo Fan rained curses. Then he looked at the Bodhi Jade sap and snickered, He, yours truly does not and will not owe favors. He took the items into his ring and ran towards Drifting Flower City, disappearing from sight. Dong Tianba and the rest were restless. He was a loafer, but not a fool. If the overseers and the Lord were in a bitter fight, didn't that mean Drifting Flower's edifice was the worst place to be right now? Would Zhuo Fan get out alive if he returned? Damn it, Darling won't be able to come back if he goes. We need to go after him. Xiao Dandan cried. Dong Xiaowan was also anxiously watching her brother, pleading. Dong Tianba gnashed his teeth and ordered, Let's go, I cannot allow my brother to face dangers alone again. Chapter 126, Complete Betrayal. Chapter 126, Complete Betrayal. The Drifting Flowers Arena was more than 100 meters tall, spanning a few kilometers, the largest building in Drifting Flowers City. This was where the 100-pill meeting was being held. It was divided into 3 layers in a circular shape. The first layer was where the competitors met. It was the stage where thousands of cauldrons spread across the entire floor. The second layer was for the second and third-rated clans who came to spectate. The third layer was for the glorious clans of Tianyu Empire. This layer hosted terraces, which acted as stands for the honorable guests of the 7 noble houses. Qingtian and her 2 overseers stood in the host terrace. Furthest from the arena, the Bodhi root was placed on the pedestal, the prize of today's competition. The winner would have the glory of stepping forward and snatching Drifting Flowers' edifice's greatest treasure. None wanted to admit it, but they were clear it would be none other than Vicious Pill King. Is everything ready? Did that old dog notice? Qingtian's eyes flashed. Peony Overseer nodded. I tasked the ones I trust the most with this. That stage contains a dragon prison array. Not even the old dog can escape it once he enters. What of Huangpu Qingyun? Qingtian looked to the eastern stand with worry. The eastern stand also has a barrier placed. They won't get the chance to intervene when the time comes. So, we will finally settle the score with that old dog. Then I can rest easy. Qingtian sighed. Senior sisters, this old dog isn't to be trifled with. Even if we 3 attack together, we may kill him, but we will also shortly after succumb to his poison. I don't mind dying, just that senior sisters will end up accompanying me. Qingtian, you don't need to say it. Iris Overseer patted her hand. We have promised grandmother to help you without fail. As Drifting Flower's edifice is about to die, then let it die with a bang. We will tell the world that women are not easy target. Qingtian was moved and squeezed their hands. The three shared deep feelings for each other. Why haven't the other overseers arrived yet? Qingtian found it unusual. The other two were also puzzled. Suddenly, a wizened voice followed by familiar figures appeared before them. Ha ha ha, Edifice Lord Chu, are you looking for them perhaps? The three's eyes were wide in shock. Behind Vicious Pill King stood 8 ladies in different colors and veils on their faces. They were none other than 8 of the Drifting Flowers Edifice's 15 edifices overseers. The 8 avoided looking at the 3, lowering their heads in shame. Why you all? She knew they were under Yensong's poison, but never thought they would stand in the open by that old dog's side. This was a naked betrayal. Peony Overseer was livid and couldn't even find words to speak. Qingtian rested her hands on the Peony Overseer to soothe her anger. Her tone was flat towards the 8 women. I feel your pain, and I don't blame you. I just hope you will take care of yourselves, leaving this dreaded place as far behind as possible. Edifice Lord. The 8 were sobbing but did not show their appreciation for her words because of Vicious Pill King's threat. Humph, what a soft Edifice Lord. However, I wonder if you'll show the same softness to them. Vicious Pill King snickered and clapped 3 times. 5 figures flashed and the trio paled. They were the rest of the overseers of all the overseers. Everyone sided with Pill King Hall. Except for Peony and Iris Overseers, they each had their reasons, but this was without a doubt the true power of Drifting Flower's edifice coming out in full force. Qingtian shivered and could no longer keep calm. She was unaware Vicious Pill King was so thorough in stripping them of their power. They had no way to even fight back. Overseer Chunyu, you are the oldest among us. How is it that even you, Peony Overseer, glared at one of the 5 people? The person was calm, however. Drifting Flower's edifice's power waned, and I could only look elsewhere for safety. I urge you to find your own, and not do something you should not. At her odd words, Qingtian looked doubtful at Peony Overseer. Peony Overseer bit her lip, filled with regret and anguish. Forgive me, Qingtian. I have trusted that matter to her. I thought she was still trustworthy, but... Qingtian trembled and her body swayed. Despair swallowed her eyes. She knew what Peony Overseer was referring to, the array to counter Vicious Pill King when he got the Bodhi root. The one tasked with it turned out to be a traitor. It was clear the Vicious Pill King was privy to all their plans. Their last chance to end this old dog had failed. I already told you. Drifting Flower's edifice is under my complete control. All your efforts are useless. Why not spare yourselves the ordeal? Vicious Pill King cackled and waved his hand. Clattering resounded as sparkling spirit stones landed at their feet. They were the ones to be used for the dragon prison array. By the way, I also managed to undo the barrier on the eastern stand. We can't have the second young master watch the 100-pill meeting from behind a barrier. Now can we? You've been most rude to Regent Estate, ha ha ha. Vicious Pill King descended the stairs laughing, with the traitorous overseers having little choice but to follow with their heads down. This made all onlookers watch slack-jawed. Why were 13 overseers following the Vicious Pill King? Any man with a brain would know that the Drifting Flowers edifice had now lost most of their power. Ha ha ha, Edifice Lord Chu, see how I take your precious treasure through legitimate means. Vicious Pill King laughed at the bottom of the stairs. Qingtian's eyes felt like they were in a fog. She clenched her fists so hard that scarlet blood flowed. Peony Overseer was overcome by guilt as tears flowed unimpeded. Qingtian, hit me. It's all my fault for ruining everything. Peony Overseer, how could you be so dazed to let others know of our plan? Qingtian stood there frozen. It felt like the sky collapsed, her heart in pieces. Iris Overseer sent a reproaching glare to Peony Overseer and sighed. What would be the point in pointing fingers when the matter was done? Vicious Pill King achieved victory in the most anticlimactic way possible. All that was left was for them to wait for him to strut and claim his prize. Old dog Yensong, don't think it's that easy to take our treasure. A shout echoed and Yensong looked over only to snicker. I wonder who it was, but then I saw it was only you, old hag. It was Drifting Flowers Edifice's best alchemist. Aunt Tao flashed beside Chu Qingtian and said, "Girl, don't cry, we haven't lost yet." Humph, empty words. When I last saw you 2 decades ago, you were but a 6th-grade alchemist, while I am a 7th. After all this time, you would still come up short of my skill even if you can refine a 7th-grade pill. Humph, that remains to be seen. Time can change anything. Don't think you'll get anywhere near the Bodhi root with me around. Vicious Pill King mocked, old hag, show me if all those years were of any help. Vicious Pill King flicked his sleeve and left with his entourage. Chu Qingtian looked at Aunt Tao with hope. Aunt Tao, can you truly win? Aunt Tao let out a downcast sigh, her previous vigor sapped. Silly girl, I was only pretending. The Vicious Pill King is indeed the best alchemist in Tianyu. You're saying we're hopeless then? Chu Qingtian's eyes were now dead. With the last burning kindling of hope put out, Aunt Tao felt pained as she spoke. That may not be the case. Regardless of how strong an alchemist is, failing in refining speaks louder. If an alchemist is distracted in mid-refining, then the pill would most likely end up in failure. Not even Vicious Pill King with decades of refining experience could escape such predicament. You're saying there's still hope? Chu Qingtian's eyes sparkled. As well as the other 2 overseers, Aunt Tao's heart could not bear their pure eyes, but forced a nod. Though she knew Vicious Pill King's decades of experience forged him a steady mind. How could he make such a rudimentary mistake? In the case she failed 10 times at refining, Vicious Pill King may never fail even once. Sighing, Aunt Tao dragged her body down the stairs. I will go prepare. Don't be discouraged, we still have a chance. All this senior could do was give these young ladies words of comfort, even if she herself did not believe in them. Her word had the desired effect, and Chu Qingtian looked livelier. The trio watched Aunt Tao with hope. Yet, this last hope of theirs was an old woman walking to certain death, while also having 1 foot in the grave. Chapter 127 Gathering of Expert. Chapter 127 Gathering of Expert. After the courtesy had been being slowly dispensed at the 100-pill meeting, the clan's delegates stepped in the widespread arena. Meanwhile, the guests had slowly gathered and the audience seated Regent Estate, Hell Valley, Pill King Hall, and Mary Woods were guided to the eastern stand. Huangpu Qingyun watched the prize on the pedestal, already sporting a winner's attitude, and smiled. On the other hand, the Veiled Dragon Pavilion, Sword Marquis Abode, and the ones who stood in favor of Drifting Flowers Edifice, were guided to the western stand. Long Zhuo was with Xie Tianyang and the rest, watching the endless stream of people with a critical eye. However, there was no sign of Zhuo Fan. If this kid doesn't show, who will deal with the Vicious Pill King? Seconds ticked by, then minutes, as the arena was gradually filled with contestants. Oh, if it isn't Master Huang. You're also competing? Yeah. Everyone aims for higher standing. Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting happens once every few decades. How could I not come? Ha ha ha, I'm the same. I hope to rise in fame as well. Even if I cannot enter Drifting Flowers Edifice, I can at least make an impression on some of the first-rate clans. Isn't that Master Zhang? It's an honor to meet you. Oh, Master Chen, such an honor. The competition had yet to begin and the contestants were greeting each other. Suddenly, an elderly with a powerful aura stepped in, with a split mustache on the corners of his mouth. He glowed with confidence before his presence. Everyone halted what they were doing. Aren't you the head alchemist of the Shiman clan of Thriving City, Luizhen? Shiman clan is a first-rate clan, and you're even their head alchemist. Why on earth did you come here? Yeah. Everyone has heard of your skill already. You earned second place at the Great Alchemy Tournament in the Imperial Capital. You were but seconds behind completing your refining, only to end up forfeiting the first place to the Pill King Hall's genius disciple, Yen Fu. You are already well known, so why come to this competition among nameless juniors? Indeed, you are a famous grandmaster, a glorious fifth-grade alchemist. So why come to this competition? You should give us all a chance too. Everyone was complaining when Lu Yizhen showed up. Yet, the elder had a faint smile, and a poised face, as if he relished every bit of rancor aimed at him. Ha ha ha, I may have a bit of a name in alchemy, but I still have so much to learn. I have come today not to seek fame, but to open my eyes and learn from everyone. As if. Who are you kidding? You clearly came to enter Drifting Flower's edifice. Everyone here knows Shiman is great, but they are still not one of the 7 noble houses. He was looked down on and despised by everyone. The result of the contestants' deep-seated fear. Lu Yizhen was greatly known throughout the empire for his alchemy. They would have no chance now that he was here. More and more reproachful gazes settled on him, but he responded with a haughty attitude, as though he was the king of the world. Settle down, everyone. A sweet voice, soothing to the ear, came. It was followed by a young lady in a violet dress, who floated down from the sky. Silence ensued so deeply that the clamor of before seemed more like an illusion. The lady nodded, pleased. Greetings and welcome, competitors, to our Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting. I am the judge of today's competition, Xiaoya. Clap. Xiaoya clapped lightly, and a string of demure girls appeared in a line, with each settling at every cauldron. This time, every participant will be accompanied by one of our disciples to prevent cheating. Drifting Flowers Edifice is truly great, settling every detail. Lu Yizhen was the first to gush praises and give his thumbs up. Indeed, with a beauty around, refining will be a breeze. This young master appreciates it, ha ha ha. They all sighed in admiration. Only one of the 7 houses could employ such a method, to have thousands of alchemists paired with one disciple each. Xiaoya extended her hands at the 20 most prominent cauldrons. Everyone has different masteries, and alchemists are no different. These 20 cauldrons are for the most outstanding alchemists. If you are confident, please stand in one of them. The arena was quiet. The majority of the thousands of alchemists here were of equal skill. There was no way to know who was the best, except for a few superior figures around, who could say they were in the top 20 in this group. Lu Yizhen twirled his mustache, his face beaming with pride. Ha ha ha, alchemists may appear to be refining on the surface, but they are actually refining their mind. Without even a bit of confidence, will one be able to make any passable pill? Grandmaster Lu is right. We don't know who among us is the best, but he is definitely among them. Someone instantly spoke for Lu Yizhen, laughing towards the sky with pride. Lu Yizhen continued, I am not conceited, only confident as an alchemist. To refine great pills, one must believe he is the best alchemist in the world. As such, I will not shy from my duty. Lu Yizhen strutted to the first cauldron while laughing, but his third step was welcomed by a cold shout, You're in my way. Beat it. Yen Fu stomped by him. Lu Yizhen faltered and his face twitched, cursing inside. Damn it! Why is this rotten prick here as well? Why join the 100-pill meeting when he's already in Pill King Hall? Isn't he the winner of the Great Alchemy Tournament in the Imperial Capital? Yen Fu of Pill King Hall? Why is he here? Someone recognized him and also peeked at Lu Yizhen's frozen state, whispering, Grandmaster Lu, your opponent is here. What if? Ha ha ha, Yen Fu is indeed an alchemy genius seen once a century. He managed to win last time. So, let him have this one, while I take the second cauldron. I truly admire Grandmaster Lu's modesty. Lu Yizhen's light tone earned the crowd's praise. A true Grandmaster. But how would they know? Lu Yizhen was cursing Yen Fu in his heart. Wretched spawn, you got ahead of me in the Imperial Capital, and now you followed me to the 100-pill meeting? Are you being hard on me on purpose? In the middle of his inner rant, an aged voice came, "If you're not going, stand aside." An elderly shoved him, slowly moving forward. That green face got everyone scared. Louisian almost jumped in fright. Who is that old woman? Such a scary face. Is she also an alchemist? Louisian watched her figure dumbfounded. Why her too? Grandmaster Lou, do you know her? Louisian was close to cursing again. Of course I do. 30 years ago, when I was a second-grade alchemist, Sage Dr. Tao made a name for herself as a fifth-grade alchemist. She is as famous as the vicious Pill King. But isn't she the head alchemist of the Drifting Flowers edifice? What is she doing here? His words spread shock to others. There was actually someone equally renowned as Vicious Pill King. No one had seen this coming. The small 100-pill meeting was now a gathering of experts. But Louisian's forlorn figure eased their shock. He. Grandmaster Lou, don't be so down. Isn't there a third spot? It definitely belongs to Grandmaster Lou. Louisian took a deep breath and stood up straighter as his eyes spat out flames of rage. It is as you said. I may not be the first or the second, but winners always come in threes. Even in third place, it will not be the least bit lacking from the first two. Grandmaster Lou, that's just self-comforting. They now realized their words of comfort were wasted on Grandmaster Lou, could contort anything to be positive. Don't block my way. Take a hike. Then, another aged man shouted. A green figure passed through the crowd, his eyes sending shivers through their bodies. Vicious Pill King, Yen Song. This scared them witless. Vicious Pill King, the head alchemist of Pill King Hall, was joining the 100-pill meeting as well? The hell is he doing here? For heaven's sake. You're the best in the Empire, for crying out loud. Can you be any more obnoxious? Grandmaster Lou, your third place seems to be gone. Someone sympathized with Louisian's situation. His lips trembled, and Louisian felt more wrong than ever watching the three up there. Just then, someone ran into him hard, ruining his calm and lofty image as he broke out a string of curses. We are all damn famous here, all right? Why in goddamned heaven are all of you taking part in this competition? Stealing my seat? You're going too damn far. The crowd froze, their faces twitching. They all thought to themselves, you're one to talk. Chapter 128 Qingtian's Back. Chapter 128 Qingtian's Back. Louisian ended up in fourth place, behind Yen Fu, Tao Danyang, and the Vicious Pill King. In spite of all that, he accepted his spot without any complaints. As for who was behind him, he had other more important things on his mind right now. The rest of the spots were taken by people of renowned and unquestionable skill. Xiao Ye smiled. Everyone else, please move to the area in accordance with your clan's strength. The first-rate clans in front, second-rate clans in the middle, and third-rate clans in the back. Please take your positions. This method also showed their relevant alchemy skills. It was a common fact first-rate clans were better than second, who were better than the third. It was also made easy for the great clans in the stands to see their abilities. It would have been an embarrassment if the third-rate clans would have started making protests. Drifting Flowers Edifice's consideration for everyone earned the admiration of many great clans. The alchemists had nothing to say, moving to their spots. Now that thousands of alchemists were in the arena, they were ready for the competition to begin. A bronze cauldron was laid before them, with a gorgeous Drifting Flowers Edifice disciple beside it. With everyone seated, Xiao Ye smiled as she explained the details of the 100-pill meeting. The competition is divided into 3 rounds. Contestants will be eliminated in each round, and only the top 20 alchemists will be worthy of stepping onto the final round, where we will finally decide on who is the Pill King. In other words, Drifting Flowers Edifice only cared about the first 20 alchemists. The participants were sporting serious faces. They knew it would be hard, but it was not that disastrously hard. Of the thousands of alchemists, only 20 would be allowed entry in the final round. These 20 were, without a doubt, the best alchemists the Tianyu Empire had to offer. With their spots set, Their position would be unshakable. It could be said that not even 300 rounds would be enough for the other contestants to get a chance to earn one of the 20 spots. The participants were vexed, while the 20 on the stage looked on with smiles of pride. Xiao Ye had a flash of contempt in her eyes as she continued. This meeting has gathered a wide variety of renowned alchemists from every corner of the empire. For this, Drifting Flowers Edifice prepared their most prized treasure as a reward for the winner. Xiao Ye clapped and 2 disciples brought a red wooden box on the pedestal. Xiao Ye flipped it open. Something akin to a green root appeared before everyone. What was even more astonishing was that the root throbbed like a heart. Drifting Flowers Edifice's Bodhi root. None saw this coming. Drifting Flowers Edifice was staking their most amazing treasure in this meeting. Only a handful knew the true reason behind it. Squinting when the item in question appeared on stage, Elder Yen, you must get it. Huangpu Qingyun clenched his fists in the eastern stand, eyeing the root with yearning. On the first stage, Vicious Pill King licked his lips, his heart throbbing to get his hands on it. He knew it was real too. All he had to do was win, and the Bodhi root was his. Humph, old dog, with me here, don't even dream of getting it. Tao Danyang snorted, snickering. Vicious Pill King mocked. Just you? How? Lu Yizhen realized now why Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting attracted these 2 towering figures of alchemy in the empire. They all came for this treasure. Lu Yizhen wiped his sweat and cried in his heart. Forget about even winning against them, even if fantasy became reality, and he managed to win, with 2 tigers glaring at him. Taking it would be a one-way ticket to the underworld. Curses! I shouldn't have come here. Lu Yizhen regretted it until his insides turned green. It was too late now, though. Now that he was on stage, he'd lose his name if his performance was subpar. He considered himself fortunate that he was not on their level, and losing wasn't that much of a big deal. Lu Yizhen sighed happily for the first time in life that he was doomed to lose. His thoughts would have widened no few pairs of eyes. Grandmaster Lu, didn't you say just now that one has to be confident when refining? Why are you quitting before even starting? Each had their own thoughts. Yet, most decided to take a step back on this. In such an ardent competition, they didn't have the nerve to join. Xiao Ye noticed the prevalent atmosphere but ignored it. The target of the first round is a first-grade pill. Those that already took a step back shivered with confidence. Is there anyone who can't make it? Why the hell would we come here if we can't make one damned first-grade pill? Xiao Ye continued. A first grade is simple, but the method isn't, as well as the efficiency. In this first round, you will be competing with your refining skills. The alchemist must accomplish the refining of a first-grade pill as soon as possible. Only the quickest 100 can advance. What? This crushed their kindling hope to dust. A competition involving thousands of participants had the first round eliminating most of them. Was it really necessary to be so cruel? I have with me a little bell, as do the Drifting Flowers Edifice's disciples. One ring gives the start and another the end. And begin. Ding. Xiao Ye directly rang her bell. The competitors were startled. Then scrambled to get out their Yuan Qi flame and begin refining. The top 20 alchemists sneered. Not at all hurried. It was more accurate to call this round a test of one's mind than that of speed. Getting worked up over such a minor thing, not even a third-grade alchemist would be able to refine a first-grade pill. A bunch of morons. Vicious Pill King laughed coldly. His hand revealed a scarlet flame, and he threw 6 ingredients inside. Under the naked eye, each ingredient was refined. Every one of the 20 alchemists could do it, albeit not at the same speed. Lu Yizhen sighed. He is truly the best in the empire. Even when refining a first-grade pill, it shows how skillful he is. Tao Danyang was the second fastest. She wasn't at all pleased but was aware of her limits. Vicious Pill King mocked her. I only used half of my skill. Just thought you should know. It's best you give up now if you can't do even this. Stop wasting your energy. Humph. Tao Danyang snorted. She knew it was a trick of his to shake her heart up on the terrace. Qingtian's group was watching the two closely. They were worried since the difference in their speed was so great. Urgent footsteps approached as an elderly shouted, "Chu, where's the kid who was with you?" Qingtian turned to find Long Zhuo, Xie Tianyang and Jian Suifeng watching her group in anxiety. "It was too dangerous here and I made him leave." Qingtian watched them strangely, not knowing what their connection was with Song Yu to be so worried about him, but her words threw them in a panic. "What? He left? Then who is competing with Vicious Pill King?" Xie Tianyang asked, unsettled. This baffled Qingtian and the two overseers. How could a mere third-rate clan young master be a match for Vicious Pill King? Humph, forget about facing Vicious Pill King. When that brat left, he didn't even waste time. Peony Overseer recalled Zhuo's attitude with coldness. Long Zhuo's group was gloomy. Zhuo Fan ran. So what were they staying around here for, as patsies? He was the one who mentioned a lying, and they even offended Regent Estate for his sake. Yet, he was the first to run away without hesitation. Bastard! Did he just sell me out again? Xie Tianyang frowned and spat in rage. Then, a sudden sobbing came. It was Xiao Dandan and the Dong siblings running up the stairs. Qingtian was anxious. "Why are you back?" "Sister Qingtian, master. Darling left us behind and rushed back. Did you see him?" "What? Song Yu came back as well?" Qingtian's group raised their eyebrows in shock. Before they could find out more, Xie Tianyang jumped in. "Sister-in-law, you're saying that punk didn't leave and came back instead? Ha ha ha, he didn't sell me out. Where is he, tell me?" Xiao Dandan didn't even get to reply to the sister-in-law part, as Xie Tianyang was immediately actively searching for Zhuo Fan through the thousands of participants. Damn it! The Vicious Pill King's almost done. Iris Overseer gnashed her teeth. They all focused on the old man, and indeed, the Vicious Pill King's pill needed only a few seconds more. Tao Danyang, however, needed a minute. They all knew what that meant. The first round had its winner and their moods sank. Tao Danyang couldn't gain the advantage, even when refining a first-grade pill, which spoke volumes of how their competition would be when refining higher-graded pills. Qingtian's heart sank to the bottom of the abyss. Her final hope was fading. Yanfu saw Vicious Pill King's pill and bowed. "Master, you're the best there is." "Naturally." Vicious Pill King laughed, throwing a mocking glance towards Tao Danyang. A ding sounded at that moment. Far in the third-rated clan's area, the bell rang. There was someone here who could refine faster than the best alchemist in the empire. Who? Whoosh! They turned to see where the ringing came from, but what appeared before them was a black-robed figure with the heaven-toppling pill words inscribed on it. Qingtian. Yanfu's eyelids trembled as he cried out. Chapter 129 Show of Skill. Chapter 129 Show of Skill. Qingtian's eyes were glazed. Long Zhuo and Jian Suifeng sported a wide grin, then laughed to their heart's content, having a heavy stone relieved from their shoulders. "Ha ha ha, Chu, you're wrong. That's not Qingtian, but that brat." It was now that a crisp voice came from that direction. "Nitrain City's Song Clan, Song Yu, first-grade pill has been completed." "What, Song Clan? Who on earth is that? We've never heard of it." Shock after shock, every single one of the people there stood speechless. A nameless alchemist hailing from a nameless clan stole the first spot in the 100-pill meeting's first round, stepping over the best alchemist in the empire, the Vicious Pill King. Just who is this Song Yu? What's his? Did he cheat? How did he refine so quickly? Under everyone's admiring gazes, Zhuo Fan swaggered from the third area and onto the first spot. That narcissistic attitude was as if he was on top of the world and asking for a smacking. Thankfully, this was Drifting Flowers' edifice, or the thousands of participants would have jumped him. "Go ahead, enjoy it while you can." "Look, it's darling!" Xiao Dandan cried, and the Dong siblings whipped their heads. Qingtian frowned and grumbled. "Damn brat, why did I get you to leave early? So you could return?" Despite her harsh words, her heart was filled with warmth. This showed he was not the heartless man he led her to believe. In her most desperate hour, he chose to return and spend this last part of their journey together. The other two overseers' anger for him went up in smoke. At least this man has a conscience. On the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingtian glared at Zhuo Fan with the full intent to kill, clenching his fists in anger. He. Second young master wants that brat's life? It will be simple to do. Just let us get the Bodhi root first, second young master, then I will deal with him personally. Hell Valley's fifth elder saw his anger and jumped at the chance to earn his favor before Vicious Pill King stole this one. Huangpu Qingtian only nodded. His hatred for Zhuo Fan seeped into his bones. Not only did he steal his wife, but he talked back to him at the feast. Yet again, this man was going against him. However, killing him himself was beneath his standing. The key was that he did not wish to earn Chu Qingqing's resentment. He still hoped for the day when his betrayal would be forgotten and she would return to him, but this man suddenly showed up, preventing that from ever happening. Zhuo Fan didn't notice that two pairs of eyes watched hopefully as he slowly strutted to the first stage. He was afraid he didn't garner enough hatred, finishing his act with a sidelong glance at the Vicious Pill King. Not even Vicious Pill King could stay calm after such obvious contempt. So he poured all his energy into finishing the refining. He relaxed after the ding was heard next to him and bore his eyes towards Zhuo Fan. You little shit, what the hell are you staring at? Wanna die? Are you threatening me? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow and kicked at the alchemy table next to the cauldron and cursed. What do you think? I'm afraid of you? What an idiot! Clamor erupted. Where did he come from? Where does he get the nerve to curse the Vicious Pill King? Even the other 19 alchemists had to reel from this, almost ruining their refining. Got him it. Where the hell did this brat pop out from? He's too much. The rage got to Vicious Pill King so badly that he was turning from green to purple. If not for fear of this indirect strike unnerving his mind, he would have long slapped the punk into the grave. Vicious Pill King took deep breaths to calm his anger. He couldn't let impulsiveness ruin his plans. Punk, you came to pick a fight with me and I would have killed you where you stand if not for reasons I cannot say. Reason? You dare talk about goddamn reason? Bam! Zhuo Fan kicked at the alchemy table again, pissed. Old fart, step aside. You're in my spot. Startled, Vicious Pill King was stunned for a moment. But Xiaoye spoke in an apologetic tone. Please excuse us, Elder Yen, young Master Song, you has earned the right to this table. Your ranking is one step lower. Hear that? Now shoo. Zhuo Fan kicked the alchemy table again. Vicious Pill King took deep breaths, working his hardest to calm down. Wretched bastard. You were just lucky. I will be back the next round. Stepping to the second table, Vicious Pill King cursed. Moving is moving, so what's with the kicking? Today's generation has gone out of control. What's it to you? I was kicking my own table. Old farts these days are too short-tempered. Zhuo Fan said as he stood at the number 1 spot. Vicious Pill King reeled at his comeback. His mouth moved but didn't say a word, while his heart was consumed by hatred. This punk's tongue is too sharp. There's no end talking to him. Once this is over, I'll settle the score. The two looked like they fought over a mere alchemy table, but they were engaged in a battle of the mind. Using this chance to throw the other off his game, no matter how fine and amazing one's refining skill was, it was useless in the hands of one with a frail mind. Vicious Pill King was very close to having his inner peace ruined when the self-important Zhuo Fan strutted in. But as he was a veteran in alchemy, he noticed it fast. Working hard and quelling the anger in his heart, the competition resumed. After Yen Fu finished his pill, Tao Danyang followed closely behind. Then came Lu Yizhen and the rest of the 20 alchemists. As time passed, more and more finished, and the ringing never stopped. As the ringing increased, the hearts of the competitors became more chaotic. Even a first-grade pill had a high chance of failure. The many that failed started refining again in annoyance, but time was running out. Ding. The 100th ring sounded and Xiao Ye drew the first round to a close by eliminating the rest, the ones who were hard at work in refining froze. They doused their flames and dragged their feet up to where the audience were. There were many third-grade alchemists here, but their mind was still lacking, failing to refine even the most basic pill. Now, the first 100 participants entered round 2, with one tiny detail off. It wasn't Vicious Pill Master in front, but a third-rate clan young master, Zhuo Fan. As a result, the 20th alchemist was kicked from his table. God damn it. Who said the 20 spots were set in stone? It's only been the first round and I got kicked by a black horse. Even the Vicious Pill King lost and was now in second place. And all the others along the line as well. Who knows how many great alchemists are getting kicked out this round? Whether or not black horses were in vogue in this competition, the audience watched on enraptured for the next kicking judge. Vicious Pill King called Xiao Ye's attention. I would like to inspect the kid's pill and check if it was a first-grade pill. I still find it hard to believe someone can beat me at the speed of refining. Yeah, make sure he is not cheating. This got the crowd wild. Vicious Pill King was the best alchemist in Tianyu. It was unbelievable how someone just popped in and dethroned him, especially when it was a rotten punk. He's been weaned just for a few days and he already mastered alchemy? How is that possible? The last one that barely got into the second round was also voicing his complaints, asking for justice. Xiaoya had no choice as she said to Zhuo Fan, "Young Master Song, is it possible for you to refine one more time, letting them see your speed?" Casting a side glance, Zhuo Fan deadpanned, "No, thank you." The crowd went hysterical. Look. He's scared. He doesn't have the nerve to refine another one for us. I knew he smelled fishy. How could he beat so many great alchemists? He's done for. Drifting Flowers Edifice doesn't tolerate cheaters. All denounce him, while Vicious Pill King and his disciple watched with a cold smile. Tao Danyang shook her head. She knew the kid wanted to help Drifting Flowers Edifice, but to get caught cheating meant that not even she could save him. Child, one's mind must remain true and not practice vile methods. You will be the one to suffer in the end. Tao Danyang gave earnest guidance and turned to Xiao Ye, change his position from the first to the last. Xiao Ye nodded to the cheer of the crowd. But Vicious Pill King sneered. Cheating has been found in the 100-pill meeting, and you're only eliminating him? Since when did Drifting Flowers Edifice's rule become so lax? The place got rowdy again. Xiaoya now turned her attention to Chu Qingqing's side, and shook her head. This brat caused endless troubles. Vicious Pill King now had a legitimate reason to end him. Escape looked bleak. Long Zhuo's group was stunned. A cunning guy like him could make such a mistake. Watching them all with a cold eye, Zhuo Fan yawned. What gave you the crazy idea that I cheated? I only said that I won't do it again. That just means you're scared. Yan Fu coldly smiled, feeling good kicking someone when they were down. Zhuo Fan gave a patronizing glance to all of them. A bunch of idiots. Don't you know I had a gorgeous lady next to me the whole time? How could I cheat? You only need to listen to how yours truly refined it, and you'll know why it took so little time. Zhuo Fan beckoned towards his previous table. Gorgeous, please tell them the name of my pill and get them acquainted with real skill. Whoosh! They all then whipped their heads towards his supervisor. Chapter 130 Crooked Path. Chapter 130 Crooked Path. A 16-year-old girl stood at that table, still young and unaware of the true world. With so many looking at her, she couldn't help but blush and fidget. Xiaolian, you don't need to be so nervous. Just speak up. Xiao Ye smiled. Xiaolian regained some of her calm by taking a deep breath, but looking at Zhuo Fan's pill in her hand, she got redder, not from shyness, but at how hard it was to describe. She didn't know what was wrong with her at the time, that she judged this pill to be first grade. She now felt embarrassed when she thought about how she declared her verdict. Despite all that, she had no choice but to proceed. Young Master Song refined an appetite pill. She then lifted it way up high, letting its fragrance drift about. However, the crowd was silent, before bursting out in laughter. Ha ha ha, is that even a pill? He is a cheat after all. That thing is not even a first-grade pill. They give it to children to help digestion. Is that what you call a pill? I can make a handful of them in less than a minute. I won't accept it if he wins with this. The crowd was getting rowdy again. Shaolian was scared. Because this was her judgment, she couldn't avoid punishment. She turned her hateful glare at Zhuo. Blaming him, any random quack on the streets could make this appetite pill. Why did she have to speak out for the most basic pill? She didn't know, but Iris Overseer knew fully well. He must have used bewitching whispers. He used it first on Dandan and now on Shaolian, in the third layer of qi condensation. Humph, this brat is on a crooked path. Peony Overseer snorted. Damn girl, you always have that dopey look on your face. Are you still under his spell? Master, Senior Aunt undid it for me. Blushing, Xiao Dandan watched Peony Overseer shyly, then her eyes looked pitiful when she turned to Zhuo. Actually, I couldn't be happier if he used it on me again. Peony Overseer held her forehead and sighed. What's so charming about that brat? That got her brash disciple so smitten. Qingtian didn't mind, only sighed. Bewitching whispers isn't important. What matters now is that Song you failed to become the winner. The vicious Pill King will once again condescend us. The only thing that changed is turning cheating into Shaolian's mistake. The scene played out as what Qingtian had said. Xiaoya gestured for the excited crowd to calm down. Forgive us, this is a mistake on our disciple's part. The first place in the first round will. Wait! Zhuo waved and eyed her from the side. Judge, you're not taking my appetite pill for a first-grade pill? Ha ha ha, you call that a pill? Yan Fu cut Xiaoya off before she could reply with his ridicule and made those around him laugh. Thousands of scornful pairs of eyes bore into Zhuo. You dare come to a competition with such a pill? You must have been blind. Perking the corner of his mouth, Zhuo looked past the mockery sent his way and spoke matter-of-factly at Yan Fu. Then please, oh the best alchemist of Pill King Hall, vicious Pill King's prized pupil, young Master Yan Fu, enlighten me. Just what exactly is the appetite pill? Of course it's... Yan Fu suddenly froze. He recalled something but he didn't get the chance to continue snickering. Zhuo turned to the crowd, finally resting his cold smile on Yan Fu. What, cat got your tongue? Ha ha ha, then let me refresh your memory. There are 12 pill grades and first grade is the lowest. I can just throw the ingredients in the fire and, as long as it's refined, the least it'll be is first grade. The hubbub stopped in a flash, from the sheer shock his words implied. Even the faces of those mocking him froze, yet their eyes were bulging out of their sockets. Why didn't I think of that? Because the appetite pill was that easy, that simple, even a normal person could make it. This made the alchemists look past it, but by definition, the lowest grade a pill could be was first grade. As long as the ingredients were refined, it was called a pill. Even the abaton of the barrel pill is considered to be first grade. Speaking of it from this point of view, the appetite pill was undeniably a goddamned first grade pill. Although, for everyone else, getting the first place in the 100-pill meeting with such a lame pill was too insulting. This led to everyone turning to Xiaoya to hear her verdict. Xiaoya fell on pins and needles. Every single one of the participants here gave their all, even with a first-grade pill. They all wanted to excel. Who could have foreseen such a weirdo use the lowest of the lowest pill to compete in the meeting? And to top it all of, he fucking won. Giving him first place would make the other alchemists feel unfair. So Xiaoya could only compromise. Young Master Song, your pill may have somewhat fulfilled the bare minimum, but the first PL is mine. Zhuo cut her short. His haughty attitude led vicious Pill King to feel newfound rage for him. You little prick, are you that shameless? You already cleared a spot, so don't push it. That appetite pill may be a first grade, but it's the worst there is. It can't get any lower than this. Isn't the worst also a first grade? The judge clearly stated. Refine a first grade pill and compete in speed. Each of you are morons. You didn't listen to the rules and tried to refine a great pill. Who's to blame for your loss? There's no way I'm giving up my spot. Zhuofan's attitude was beyond arrogant and earned the ire of every alchemist. But they had no words to refute, they could only stomp in hatred. Son of a bitch! Why couldn't I have found the loophole in the rules? This damn runt used it instead. I could refine an appetite pill even faster than him. Dismay flowed like a river in the hearts of each of the thousands of alchemists. But who could blame them? The opportunity to win was right there in front of them, but they did not see it so. They chose to direct all their anger onto Zhuofan. They looked at him as their worst enemy. It was fine if he had used real skill to win, but Zhuofan just got the biggest advantage, a cheap trick, to get in front of them. None of them could ever accept it. All their killing intent seemed to fly right past Zhuofan, who found the time to even smile. Oh my, you know what they say, envy of talent and all that. It seems that yours truly has been pretty outstanding so far. The crowd was a powder keg primed and ready to blow. Xiaoya shook her head helplessly. Young Master Song, I've seen my fair share of shameless people, but you're the worst by far. He, what are talking about? This is yours truly's nature. Zhuofan grinned. They didn't consider their own nature, while yours truly is the most at peace with myself. I earned first place, prop and all. Seeing him tooting his horn, Xiaoya felt sick and no longer paid attention to this dissolute young master. The alchemists looked down on him. He had no skill, they thought. He used a crooked path, they thought. He'd be washed up next round, they thought. Though one man among them looked at him with a stern face, it was none other than the newly kicked in fifth spot, Lu Yizhen. He was just like the others at first, mocking Zhuofan for saying the end justified his demeaning means, taking him for an incompetent fool. But Zhuofan leaked the fact the first round wasn't about speed but one's mind, a test to their nature. This shocked him, and he began to look at Zhuofan with different eyes. Were there even a handful among these thousands of alchemists who caught the test's real meaning? Yet, this immoral young master saw through it with a glance. Was he perhaps a hidden gem, a grand alchemy genius? If so, then refining the appetite pill may not have been his limit. Only complying with the rules. Lu Yizhen no longer wore a casual expression, but one of dead seriousness. The Tianyu Empire had many talents crop up in recent years. Not only the vicious Pill King's prized pupil, Yan Fu, but now this outstanding genius as well. This would make the 100-pill meeting more intense by the second. I thought getting third would be alright, but by the looks of things I might not even make it to the 5th place. Vicious Pill King snorted. You had it easy this time, but I will throw you out the next round. Humph, can you? After a sneer, Zhuofan turned around and pointed at the words on his back with pride. Take a good look, you're just the Vicious Pill King, while I am Heaven-toppling Pill. Vicious Pill King laughed coldly. You think wearing a dead man's cloak will help you? Ha ha ha, Qingtian was a genius, but couldn't compare to me in alchemy. Heaven-toppling pill is just his own egotistical words. Speaking of it, his death at the hands of my antidote is proof of how naive and immature he was. Yen Song, is that formula truly fake? Tao Danyang couldn't help but ask. Yen Song snickered. Would you be looking like this if it weren't? He, that foolish kid didn't know his limits, stole my formula and ended up killing himself with it, taking down others with him. Getting beaten to death by drifting flowers edifices people was his just deserts. Tao Danyang clenched her fists, her eyes burning with anger. I have worked 3 years on it, only to find out it's fake. Up on the terrace, Chu Qingqing bit her lip as the killing intent in her eyes grew. It was thanks to the 2 overseers stopping her that she didn't charge at Yen Song. Long Zhuo sighed. He understood Chu Qingqing's feelings. Who could stand to watch their most hated enemy that put their little brother to death continue to humiliate him? Zhuo Fan then said something that left them speechless, yet here I am, standing before you in his cloak. His tone was calm and looked at Yen Song with a challenging grin. Yen Song couldn't help but clench his fists, his eyes gradually reddening, burning with endless rage. Chapter 131 Qingtian's Final Wish. Chapter 131 Qingtian's Final Wish. Challenge. Yes, a naked challenge. Not only that, but it also promised retribution, for the departed Zhuo Fan's words were blunt. He wore Qingtian's cloak right in front of Yen Song. That meant he was going to surpass Yen Song as an alchemist in Qingtian's stead. How could the best alchemist in the empire, Vicious Pill King, take this lying down? But that wasn't the most important thing right now. If Zhuo Fan said it 15 minutes ago, he would have laughed, calling him still a child that didn't know his limits now. After the first round, Zhuo Fan stood in the first place, the place he took from Yen Song. Even if one disregarded the stunt he pulled in the first round, the fact he spoke as such was truly shocking. Because in truth, he was standing ahead of the Vicious Pill King, and because it was the truth, it angered Yen Song. Never had there been a case where someone stood ahead of him. Yet, this man somehow did it while also openly challenging him. If he were to take this down, he would no longer be Vicious Pill King. The silence was deafening. The people watched dumbfounded, as if they forgot to even breathe. Zhuo Fan earned the first place through devious tricks and was now challenging the Vicious Pill King. Was he tired of living? None could understand, not even the people on the terrace. Only Qingtian bit her lip as tears glistened in her eyes. Thank you. She knew Zhuo Fan did this all for her. Whether he won or not, he would challenge Vicious Pill King in her stead. This was Qingtian's final wish as Qingtian's elder sister. She has never managed to do it, but Zhuo Fan had. Qingtian's gaze on Zhuo Fan turned passionate. At that moment this man was a third-rated clan young master, but he was willing to give everything for her. It was not wrong of her to entrust her dignity to this man. He and Qingtian were the same, albeit a bit more immoral. Qingtian's heart felt as if it was beating out of her chest. What she didn't know was that Zhuo Fan did all this mostly because of the Bodhi Jade sap, all because the Grand Demonic Emperor did not owe favors. Ha ha ha, someone has the nerve to challenge the great Vicious Pill King. This is the first time it happened to Elder Yen. So, he must be pissed. In the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyan smiled as he looked around. The others nodded, with Hell Valley's fifth elder joining him. Ha ha ha, that old bag of bones. Yen Song considered everyone beneath him. How satisfying to see an ignorant pup mock him to such a degree. Huangpu Qingyan nodded in glee, his eyes shining. It seems we won't be needed to deal with this kid. Once Elder Yen wins the next round with his temper, he would immediately kill him. Second young master is right, the kid will die after the second round. He challenged Elder Yen, so even if he ended dead, Drifting Flowers Edifice has no grounds to blame Elder Yen and second young master. Young Miss Qingtian won't feel any more resentment towards you. Lin Zetian fawned with a smile. It had to be said. His words hit the nail on the head. Huangpu Qingyan gave a satisfied nod. In the arena, assaulted by Zhuo Fan's contemptuous challenge, Vicious Pill King was trembling from rage. He took deep breaths to force it down, but his face had become frightening. Rotten punk, you want to challenge me in Qingtian's stead? Zhuo Fan shook his head in mockery. Old coot, get real? Me challenge you? Bam! Suddenly, Zhuo Fan stomped on the alchemy table, jarring the ears of the others with the noise. Then he proudly declared, "Take a good look, I am in first place. Isn't it more accurate to say that you're the challenger?" You! The Vicious Pill King was so pissed his vision blurred, his hair whipped about. He knew the punk was insufferable but clearly didn't know by how much. With a bit of luck and a clever mind, this punk thought it was enough to flaunt as the best in the empire. And get to make the Vicious Pill King challenge him? The Vicious Pill King's chest shook with every breath, rancor dripping from every word. Little prick, you're more insufferable than Qingtian. But most arrogant people don't end well. Ha ha ha, the ending isn't based on arrogance, but strength. Giving him a side glance, Zhuo coldly smiled, stomping on the table again. Take this table from me and you'll be the best in the empire. Humph, I intend to. Then let's add one more condition. If you can take this spot, I will offer you my head. The people froze. Betting one's life in a mere pill competition? Or did the kid know his end would be bleak after offending the vicious Pill King and decided to go for broke? Qingtian and the rest became grave. Huangpu Qingyun's side laughed even harder than before. This justified it even more when the kid lost his head. Long Zhuo's group was anxious. Why is this brat playing such a dangerous game? As to how cautious Zhuo was, he wouldn't use such arrogant words easily. Xiao Dandan was so worried she was on the verge of tears. Master, what do we do if Darling loses? He isn't the vicious Pill King's match. Will he really die? Will I be a widow? You haven't even been with him yet. What widow nonsense! Peony Overseer cursed. This kid is so stubborn, he doesn't know what he's saying. Now, when he loses, we won't be able to save him. The Dong siblings watched everything blankly. Where did bro get all that courage from? Is he still the same Song Yu we know? Ignoring the clamor, the vicious Pill King sported an insidious smile. Hee, it's you who said it, punk. Don't go begging me later for mercy. Enough with the boasting, brat. Yen Song is an elder and you are wrong about him. Take back those jokes and he won't argue with you either. Because of Chu Qingqing's relation with him, Tao Danyang gave Zhuo a signal to pull him out of this mess. Zhuo seemed to have turned a deaf to her help, upping the ante. He turned to everyone. My word is gold. It's not just for the old guy, but it applies to anyone. Whoever takes my place, yours truly will present his head. What? The crowd exploded again. He wasn't just challenging one man, the vicious Pill King, to settle grudges, but all of them. More aptly put, a challenge towards all alchemists in Tianyu. He was obviously looking to establish himself in the 100-pill meeting as the best alchemist in the empire, but putting the vicious Pill King aside, does a snot-nosed brat have anything to back those words? In a blink, the scene erupted. All the alchemists were now glaring at him, becoming the public enemy number one. They only felt mockery at first, but now it vanished, with anger replacing it. Vicious Pill King smiled evilly. You're digging your own funeral. Tao Danyang shook her head. She could not understand what Chu Qingqing found in this reckless brat. He stirred the crowd into focusing their anger on him. On Huangpu Qingyun's side, they were laughing with glee. After all, Zhuo had turned himself into the target of everyone's hatred. He was begging to be put down. Meanwhile, the two overseers sighed. Damn rotten brat, are you that hard-headed? Chu Qingqing was confused about it all. Song Yu was brash, but not to this extent. Then, Zhuo looked at her and pointed at the words on his back with a smile. Chu Qingqing seemed to have been struck by lightning. She was shaking all over as tears flowed unabated. Qingqing, what's wrong? Iris Overseer asked in worry. Chu Qingqing watched Zhuo from afar and muttered, I was the one who was wrong all along. How? Peony Overseer asked with a bright smile. Chu Qingqing replied, I always thought Qingqing's last wish was revenge, to surpass vicious Pill King in alchemy. But I was wrong. He only ever wanted one thing, a heaven-toppling pill. To be the best alchemist in the whole world. The familiar cloak left Chu Qingqing laughing, despising herself. I made that cloak myself, but never truly understood Qingqing's heart. While Song Yu knew just from a glance. I am not qualified to be his elder sister. What Song Yu is doing this to fulfill Qingtian's final wish? The overseers exchanged a glance, then looked at Zhuo back. Feeling that this thin figure had grown in their eyes. They always said men were unreliable, but there was a man, here and now, that dared take on the whole world for the woman he loved. They could only have respect for him. And their eyes also hid something stirring deep within. The vicious Pill King was the first in the empire. Everyone knew that, but no one could reach him. The brat fulfilled Qingtian's wish, but now he was on a road of no return. He, this punk sure knows how to draw hatred. The three were startled to find Xie Tianyang grinning. You're saying the kid first humiliated Yensong, and then plans on taking his head? To make him lose in his refining, then fly into a rage over his failure as an excuse to take his life? And this brother is truly cunning. I presume he has what it takes to win. Long Zhuo caressed his beard. Humph, Uncle Zhuo, you expect too much of him again. He may win against others, but how can he win against the vicious Pill King, the best in the empire? Long Kue grumbled, I only see this brat being afraid of losing. He will most likely use the opportunity when Yensong is busy refining, to end his life. Someone like him won't possibly accept a loss at this point, especially if he has to throw his face away. They all had to nod at this. Zhuo Fan had always been cool-headed, while also engaging in underhanded tactics more often than not. Sneak attacks while refining wasn't beneath him, as they discussed. Peony Overseer cursed, Uncle Zhuo, I thought you are on Drifting Flowers Edifice's side. Yet when we are facing a calamity, you are taking joy in our plight. Long Zhuo was startled and knew they misunderstood. Xie Tianyang watched the angry Chu Qingqing and Xiao Dandan. Edifice Lord Chu, Lady Dandan, we don't mean any insult for that fellow. We were only talking. Suddenly, his eyes shined and he gave a vague smile. Also, sister-in-law, it doesn't look like you've seen the true face of your husband yet. You better watch closely, you'll surely get the fright of your lives. He may look docile near you, but in fact, he is the devil. No less than vicious Pill King, ha ha ha. They were startled, clueless to his meaning. Then, a ding sound off and the second round began. Chapter 132 Secret Refining Skill, 9th Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw. Chapter 132 Secret Refining Skill, 9th Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw. Ding! Xiaoya shook the bell in her hand, earning everyone's attention. It seemed Zhuo Fan's cocky attitude from before chilled even this lady. Being a judge of the 100-pill meeting, held every few decades, was her arrogance, pride, and honor. Then, Zhuo Fan showed up halfway, with his bag of devious tricks to throw everything in disarray. His endless smug attitude cut her glory down a few levels from honor to a nobody. That was what she became. A judge would have kicked out such an incompetent fool on the spot. Zhuo Fan's logic made an irritating good point that left her speechless. She had to concede the first place to this silk pants. His sloppy and conceited manner earned the rage of all alchemists and her hatred. But any other option, she could only rein it in and work hard to calm down. She then announced the second round, to hurry up and get rid of this brat. The second round's objective is a third-grade pill. Xiaoya's clear voice echoed and her eyes shined with splendor, talking about making a third-grade pill when most of them here were third-grade alchemists. But just then, the Drifting Flowers Edifice disciples accompanying them presented a storage ring. Xiaoya spoke while they were in a stupor. I ask that everyone refines with Drifting Flowers Edifice's ingredients, as to avoid any cheating from occurring. But they're all second-grade ingredients. Is this some kind of a mistake? Someone already voiced his doubts, just as Xiaoya finished. And once there was one, many followed. Xiaoya ignored them. The main test of this round is pill quality, followed by speed. The first 50 will advance, while the rest will be eliminated. Hey Judge, all you gave me are ingredients for a second-grade pill. How do you want me to refine a third-grade pill? While the back was complaining, the first 20 alchemists sneered as they ignited their yuan qi flame. These morons still didn't get what this round was about. It wasn't testing their ability to make a third-grade pill, but their formulas. Normally, a third-grade pill could be made with the appropriate ingredients of the same grade. But that does not mean third-grade pills could not be made with second-grade pill ingredients. It was just that usual refining method most were used to would not work in such cases. For such a leap in grade, the refining of the ingredients needed to complement one another. boosting each of their effects to create a third-grade pill. This test was aimed at an alchemist's formulas. How many one had drifting flowers edifice gave a ring filled with second-grade pill ingredients. It was only expected to be possible to refine 5 types of third-grade pill from them after the ingredients were handed out. What mattered now was how they could extract their effects to make the ingredients suitable for refining a third-grade pill. The first 20 alchemists had such formulas aplenty. The back alchemists, though, were pulling their hairs out in frustration, with some still barking at the Drifting Flowers edifice. Drifting Flowers edifice's disciples kept silent when receiving their rants but held disdain in their eyes. Zhuo was toying with the ring, thinking which formula to pick. The others were vexed they knew too few formulas, while Zhuo was also vexed. It was for the opposite reason, though. He had too many to choose from. Which to use to make that vicious pill king take the loss lying down? Young Master Song Xiao Ye watched him in delight over his misfortune. The others have already started. How is it that the first place hasn't as well? You can't mean you can't even refine a third-grade pill, right? The kid's skill might not be as awful as you think. It was Vicious Pill King who answered first, with his mockery. He must be still doubting why you gave him such low ingredients. Ha ha ha. The other 20 alchemists laughed along with him. Tao Danyang shook her head, focusing on her own refining. In the end, this bag of bones will be the one who will compete with Vicious Pill King. Yet, there was one man alone who wasn't laughing. He was watching Zhuofan's every move. It was Lu Yizhen. He believed Zhuofan was more than he led others to believe. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuofan smiled towards the crowd. Ha ha ha, yours truly thought that as the winner, and in first place, it was poor manners from my part to pick on a bunch of newbies. But since you are so eager to lose to me, yours truly will open your horizon in the true field of alchemy. This remark only earned their glares. Where did this punk come from? Calling us newbies? Absurd. After that, they were all watching dumbstruck. Secret Refining Art, Ninth Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw. Zhuofan spoke in his heart, then his eyes flashed. His finger beckoned tens of ingredients into the air, as a yuan qi flame ignited in his palm. A roar echoed, as the flame took the shape of a dragon, and sped towards the ingredients. It opened its maw and swallowed the first ingredient. The item was refined in an instant, becoming pure medicinal liquid. The shock was palpable as everyone watched amazed, even the alchemists around. What goddamned refining skill is this that can refine an ingredient in an instant? Even the great Vicious Pill King, despite his fastest speed, could only do it after minding every step. The least he could do was make it visible how the ingredients were refined, but Zhuofan's action seemed to go against all alchemical laws, refining the ingredient in a blink of an eye. While others were hard at work in their refining, he had refined them all. Roar. With another yell, the blazing dragon turned the ingredients into a paste. It then turned into a fire tornado and revolved in Zhuofan's palm. The dozens of ingredients ebbed calmly among the flames, separated from each other. All that Zhuofan had to do was put them together and finish the pill. He was in no hurry, apparently, watching over the others coldly. Newbies, yours truly's refining hasn't devolved to your mime show. You have still much to learn to reach my level. He was as obnoxious as before, but this time, his words struck their core. Before, they mocked him for boasting and his immoral character. Now, he was the one reprimanding them as a superior alchemist. They had no room to refute. Even Vicious Pill King was stupefied. This reckless brat possessed a miraculous refining skill. A skill not even the best in the Empire could fathom. Master, what is this skill? Yen Fu stammered. Vicious Pill King tried many times to speak, but settled to rebuke him and hide in humiliation instead. Mind your pill. Don't ask so many questions. Yet his heart felt like bleeding and, for the first time, he turned serious when he saw Zhuofan, hiding a hint of killing intent in his eyes this time. Zhuofan had become a real threat to him. As the best alchemist in the Empire, Zhuofan noticed everything but wasn't of a mind to care. He kept on belittling Vicious Pill King as he pointed at the firestorm in his palm. Elder Yen, if you don't hurry up, yours truly will get the first place again. Flushed, Vicious Pill King's beard began to quaver. His chest moved with ragged breaths, but he didn't utter a word. He was truly and utterly speechless. He could not accept it, but he knew it was the truth. In the host terrace, Qingtian was shocked silly. Zhuo Fan made it possible to even leave the Vicious Pill King without words of reprisal. The fact the Vicious Pill King was now solemn against Zhuo Fan's challenge meant that he admitted in his heart that what Zhuo Fan said was true, despite not voicing it out. Amazing, darling is the best. Xiao Dandan's delicate face was red as she danced in joy. Iris Overseer was still lost, finding it hard to believe. Am I dreaming? Did that brat outshine the Vicious Pill King? Yeah. We never took him seriously. Peony Overseer blinked, then sighed at the Iris Overseer. Senior sister, pinch me. I think I'm still dreaming. How is he able to do this? Shaking her head, Iris Overseer turned to Qingtian. Qingtian, did you know of this? Is that why you chose him as your husband? How can our great edifice lord marry a third-rate clan young master otherwise? Qingtian's cheeks turned pink and rolled her eyes. Senior sister, don't tease me. I was so saddened at the time, thinking only about living and dying with Drifting Flowers edifice. I could not trust anyone. But then I met him. He was so similar to Qingtian, and I threw all my faith to him. I saw his miraculous refining skill once, but never thought for a second he could shut the Grand Vicious Pill King up. The overseers were shocked. This kid is truly unpredictable. Sighing, Iris Overseer looked around. At the least, the Drifting Flowers edifice's survival can be entrusted to someone. I hope he and Aunt Tao can dispel the imminent disaster facing the Drifting Flowers edifice. Qingtian and Peony Overseer nodded. Watching Zhuo Fan's smug face, for some odd reason, Qingtian felt at peace, a foreign feeling over the last few years. Perhaps this is what it means to lean on someone. Qingtian's gaze on Zhuo Fan grew even warmer. Chapter 133 being played. Chapter 133 being played. Thump. Huangpu Qingyun pounded the stone table, which was as strong as a first-grade spiritual weapon. Cracks like spiderwebs spread through the entire table. Watching Zhuo Fan with his hawk eyes, Huangpu Qingyun spat in anger. Is there anyone who can tell me where this guy came from? Why is it that he can surpass even Elder Yen in alchemy? Shuddering, the people around looked at each other, but none wanted to earn his ire. However, Hell Valley's fifth elder rolled his eyes as he laughed. Second young master, relax. Elder Yen is more than capable to deal with that obnoxious brat. He must have already thought of a way. Once he wins this round, he will not hesitate to get rid of that pest gnawing at his heart. He must be itching to finish him off. Ha ha ha. Huangpu Qingyun took a deep breath as he watched Yen Song. Sure enough, the shock faded from Yen Song's face and was now replaced with deep-seated killing intent. This somewhat eased the second young master's anger. Lin Zitian watched fifth elder askance as he wiped the cold sweat off his brow, crying inside curses. No one here is good. Fifth elder looked as if he was appeasing Huangpu Qingyun when in fact, he was placing the responsibility of dealing with Zhuo Fan solely on the Vicious Pill King. If the Vicious Pill King killed the kid, he'd be settling a grudge and Huangpu Qingyun would reward him. If not, then the second young master would pour all his rage on Vicious Pill King, and by the look of things, Yen Song had no idea this was happening. Such scheming was vicious. I'll have to tread carefully around these people, or I won't even know how I got betrayed. Sighing, Lin Zitian shook his head as he watched Huangpu Qingyun in the arena. Zhuo Fan had to praise Vicious Pill King for managing to get his anger under control, though, inside, he was the best alchemist in the empire after all, and didn't get distracted so easily. Yet he did not relent with his mockery. You're so slow in refining the ingredients. What do you say I wait for you? How about 3 breaths to catch up? To a normal man, 3 breaths passed in a blink, but to alchemists, this period could mean the difference between victory or defeat in these crucial moments. Zhuo Fan was laid back in his battle against the vicious Pill King. It was naked humiliation. He would have been mocked if he spoke of this before the round, but now, no one could do so after his display of skill. Slowly, Zhuo Fan's arrogance was taken as something normal. Well, he is a grandmaster after all. If you got the skill, then you can be as cocky as you want, right? The vicious Pill King had eyes only for his own pill, although his speed has lowered. Tao Danyang was a bit nervous as she urged Zhuo Fan, "Child, you're still in the lead, so hurry and finish. Don't drag it out any more than necessary." "Yeah, young master Song, grandmaster Song." After Zhuo Fan revealed his skills, Xiaoya felt she needed to change how she addressed him. Anything can happen at any moment in a competition. Use this chance to your advantage. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow and snickered. "Judge, do you know what this pill of mine is called? Is Grandmaster testing me?" Xiaoya let out a sweet smile. Grandmaster chose mostly yang ingredients. And according to the formula, it should be the yang pill. Its main use is to dispel the negative energy in one's body. It is gentle on the meridians and can increase a qi condensation cultivator's cultivation by 1 layer. Ha ha ha, Miss is truly knowledgeable. However, do you know who I'm giving it to? Xiaoya shook her head. What does it have to do with me? You! Zhuo Fan smiled, blushing. Xiaoya averted her eyes from him and muttered, I am but a normal disciple of Drifting Flower's edifice. I've long surpassed the qi condensation stage. Why is Grandmaster giving it to me? His smile growing colder, Zhuo Fan mocked, because you have a vile mouth, so your body must be filled with negative energy. I am doing this for your own good. Xiaoya was shocked, speechless, as everyone burst out laughing. They all knew Xiaoya mocked Zhuo Fan, and now he was only returning the favor. Xiaoya felt slandered, and her eyes glistened with tears. She gave a hateful glare to Zhuo Fan out of spite. Zhuo Fan, however, still sported that insidious grin. This brat is so petty. He even shamed a young lady. Qingtian couldn't help but grumble, seeing a fellow sister of her Drifting Flower's edifice being mocked. Xie Tianyang nodded after a pause. Edifice Lord Chu is right. This brat's eyes are so narrow that it's best we don't mess with him. His revenge is never welcomed. Xiao Dandan felt it on her own skin and nodded with force. Although she wasn't the least bit vexed over what she went through. Instead, she was prideful. He dares. Qingtian raised her head up high. It was the image of a wife who got her husband on a leash. But noticing their looks, her cheeks blushed and she lowered her head back down as if they rehearsed it. They all looked at each other and laughed. Only Qingtian's blush grew a shade deeper. Whoosh. Suddenly, as everyone was paying attention to Zhuo Fan, who got a bit carried away in his teasing of Xiaoya, a green liquid shot into the firestorm in his hand and melded into his concoction. Zhuo Fan's heart was in a panic. He noticed that the direction it came from was Yensong. It was unknown when, but the ingredients in his hand had already finished refining. He slowed down on purpose to get Zhuo Fan to drop his guard. Vicious Pill King let out a vile snicker. Grandmaster Song, I already finished refining my concoction, so I will be going ahead and form the pill. You don't need to spare me 3 breaths, rather you should stick to your own matters. Ha ha ha. His eyelid twitching, Zhuo Fan's face grew colder. What did you throw in my concoction? Throw? Vicious Pill King denied it completely. I would never do such an immoral act as ruining others' refining. Just that I was a bit sloppy and a few drops spilled from my concoction. It just so happened to fall into yours. This was all just a big mishap. I'm sure Grandmaster Song won't mind at all. Mishap? When an alchemist slacked in concentration, the Yuan Qi flame faltered and the concoction did spill. But that only happens to beginners. It wouldn't happen to even a first-grade alchemist yet. It happened to the best alchemist in the empire, the Vicious Pill King, a grand 7th-grade alchemist. It couldn't get more deliberate than this, everyone knew it, and so did he. But there was no way to contest it. He said he was careless and no one could prove otherwise. Gnashing his teeth, Zhuo Fan ignored him and returned his focus on the changes in his concoction. He cried out in shock from what he saw. Green python scale concoction? Zhuo Fan cried this shocked everyone. They knew Zhuo Fan was refining a yang pill. All of his ingredients were of yang property. But the green python scale concoction was made with a base from a second-level spiritual beast, green sky python scale. The snake had yin properties and was also cruel, making this ingredient the worst addition to Zhuo Fan's. This poison was now attacking the yang pill's ingredient. Once used, it would reduce the yang of the pill a great degree. He would be hard-pressed to make a second-grade, let alone a third-grade pill. It was most likely going to end up as a common first-grade pill. Everyone shook their heads. Zhuo Fan's refining skill was a rare one that gave incredible speed. A pity, his ingredients were now wasted. If he started from scratch, he would never catch up to the vicious pill king. The easy win had now turned to failure, all because of Zhuo Fan's ego. Vicious pill king laughed coldly. Punk, you remember your promise? If you fall from your spot, your head will be mine. I'll be right here waiting for you to bring it to me, ha ha ha. Vicious pill king's laughter reverberated across Drifting Flowers Hall. The people sighed. This outstanding genius was now going to present his head to Vicious Pill King because the latter pulled a dirty trick. Tao Danyang sighed, disappointed, and resumed her focus on her pill. The child is amazing, but his mind is unstable. Lu Yizhen watched Zhuo Fan in a daze, only to shake his head in the end. In the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyun was laughing his heart out. Elder Yen did have a way. The rest around him nodded. In the host terrace, 3 people stomped in anger. This brat is insufferable. He brags about saving Drifting Flowers edifice, and now he falls to Yen Song's ploy? Peony Overseer flared, in your arrogance you threw away the prestige we worked so hard to get back. Indeed, this brat's manner is causing everyone headaches. Iris Overseer sighed. Forget about saving Drifting Flowers edifice, when we can't even save him. Only Chu Qingcheng watched Zhuo Fan without complaining. He is in Qingtian's stead. Even if he is a little arrogant, does that mean he is in the wrong? Qingtian would have done the same as him. Master, save darling. Xiao Dandan pleaded. Peony Overseer was powerless and turned to Long Jiu. Everyone, seeing how familiar you are with Song Yu, what do you think of this? Her anger flared, but her heart was clear. She knew saving Zhuo Fan with only Drifting Flowers edifice power was impossible. They had to ally with Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquise Abode. Though they didn't even react to her words. Calm as ever. Save? Who? That brat needs our saving? Xie Tianyang said. I reckon he must be so pissed he's about to pop a vein. A shrewd man like him was being played by another. It'd be odd if he could hold it in. Peony Overseer didn't understand. Suddenly, Dong Tianba staggered and fell with a terrified face. Dong Tianba cried out before they could ask. He's not Brother Song Yu. Just who is he? None understood what he meant and looked at the stage. One look was enough to scare the life out of them because Zhuo Fan's eyes had so much killing intent. It actually took form. It was as if an Azura from the underworld stepped into the world. Those eyes made everyone feel a razor blade bearing on their necks, as if any moment their lives could be reaped. Zhuo Fan was royally pissed. Chapter 134 Sacred Dragon Call. Chapter 134 Sacred Dragon Call. Damn it. I'm the one who usually playing with others. Now I am on the receiving end. Squinting, Zhuo Fan controlled the firestorm in his hand while the other clenched and shivered. It was poised to strike at any minute. The glorious demonic emperor had always been a close follower of being the first and the last to strike. Yet here he was, playing fair, while the others took advantage of him. He just couldn't take it lying down. Only the head of the accuser could now salvage the demonic emperor's dignity. His killing intent was hidden behind a pair of eyes. Hidden so well, in fact, the vicious Pill King, who was the closest to him, was not even able to sense it. Only those on the terrace noticed, since they were always focused on him. But because of this, Drifting Flowers Edifice's people finally realized how scary Zhuo was. They always took Zhuo for a pig-headed and arrogant kid who knew nothing of the world, and was close to losing his life on numerous occasions. If not for these women's timely intervention, he'd be long dead. But now, they understood he was not so simple. First was the fact of concealing all his killing intent in his eyes wasn't something anyone could do, not even them. A killer had killing intent, and the more he killed, the more he had. It was great for scare tactics but useless in subtle matters, so every assassin learned to hide their killing intent. But hiding it from the vicious Pill King and the surrounding experts normally would not work at all. Zhuo was different though. As long as you didn't look in his eyes, you wouldn't know the depth of his killing intent. His technique was the best for assassinations. It was clear Zhuo was an expert at killing others from obscurity. Secondly, Zhuo's killing intent was so thick it took shape, scarring even them, profound heaven experts. Just how many did one have to kill to reach this state? Peony Overseer finally understood what Dong Tianba's meant. He was not Song Yu. Since when did a third-rate clan young master have such strong killing intent? Just who is he? Why is he acting as Song Yu then, appearing in our Drifting Flowers edifice? Iris Overseer's heart shivered. Chu Qingtian and Peony Overseer frowned, while Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquise Abode's people long knew the truth and were calm. Smiling at Chu Qingtian, Long Zhuo said, "Worry not, Chu Chu. This brat's presence is Drifting Flowers edifice's fortune." "Yeah, Sister Chu Chu. This brat, although deceitful, can save Drifting Flowers edifice. The only one perhaps." For the first time, Long Kue was actually speaking in Zhuo's favor. Everyone looked at her suspiciously. Long Kue blushed. "What are you looking at? I'm telling you the truth." Long Zhu shook his head. A strange power revolved around Zhuo that could even make those who hated him admire him. The way they talked in riddles left the three women confused. But despite the threat he posed, he wasn't against Drifting Flowers edifice, so they all relaxed. He. The brat had enough. He can't take it. He'll act soon. Xie Tianyang's snicker made them look at the arena. Sure enough, Zhuo could no longer dispel the killing intent in his eyes, the point where he was about to make a move. Then, his boundless killing intent just vanished. Xie Tianyang was startled. What's going on? Why is he holding it in? This isn't how he normally does things. He knew Zhuo well. The brat would never relent until the one who shamed him was in pieces. It was also the best moment, so why stop? It was the same for the rest. They knew how determined Zhuo was and would never miss a golden opportunity for a sneak attack. Killing and slinking back in obscurity had always been his plan. Why the sudden change? Taking a deep breath, Zhuo calmed his heart. Looking at the cloak on his back, he once again had a sneer on his face. His aim today wasn't only to block Regent Estate's conquest and buy time for the Luo clan to rise, but also to return the favor to Chu Qingtian for the sap. By saving the Drifting Flowers edifice, he would be having her owe him a favor. But it was still along the lines of his main objects. Therefore, in his heart, he could not really consider that as a favor she owed to him. So he also acted as Chu Qingtian, rising to be the best alchemist in the empire. Heaven-toppling pill was Chu Qingtian's final wish and aspiration. A demonic cultivator was free and unrestrained. He must never owe anyone anything. Zhuo's eyes flashed and flicked his hand. The lid on the cauldron was lifted, and another flick sent the firestorm inside. Grandmaster Song was using the cauldron to refine. Everyone watching him was startled. A Grandmaster's control over ingredients was high, only using the cauldron when refining high-grade pills for assistance. Since it was just a mere third-grade pill, none of the first 20 used one yet. Zhuo was the first to act, and in a splendid fashion too, clearly displaying his perfect control. So using the cauldron at this point was all to mask his actions. All eyes were now on him. Snickering, vicious Pill King saw the burning concoction going inside the cauldron, which had already fused, and mocked, "Your pill is ruined. Using a cauldron at this point won't make a difference. Admit your loss. My skill is not something boors like you can understand." Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo pointed at his cloak before yelling, "Look closely. You are vicious Pill King, and yours truly is the heaven-toppling pill. Our levels are as different as heaven and earth." Under the eyes of everyone, Zhuo jumped on the cauldron and removed his belt. "Ah!" Cries of women rose as they all blushed and hid their faces. Xiao Yi squinted as she yelled, "Ji Grandmaster Song, what are you doing? What do you think? Refining, of course." Zhuo rolled his eyes, and under the eyes of everyone, he let go. A stream of clear liquid smoothly entered the raging inferno inside the cauldron. "I knew it! Grandmaster Song is taking a piss inside the cauldron." The audience was speechless. Is this god-damned alchemy? Or is he just throwing a tantrum 'cause he lost? Vicious Pill King and the alchemists were dumbfounded. Even if refining failed and he had to present his head, he ought to at least keep his dignity, his ethic. The hell is he doing? Was he venting on the pill, or an outcry to them? What was happening was too insane for them to comprehend. This is what is he doing? Xie Tianyang was dumbfounded watching Zhuo pissing into the cauldron. Along with the flowing and smooth stream, the raging fire dampened. Looking at the concoction inside, there was no doubt that it was ruined. He plans to lose the competition without any dignity? Why would he do such an obscene act in front of a crowd? Is he? Xie Tianyang thought of something and then cried, "No one look! Especially the overseers. Who wants to anyway?" Chu Qingtian's group had long since covered their eyes and turned around with flushed faces. Xiao Dandan was the same, for a time, but Peony Overseer forced her to turn around and stare long and hard. Xiao Dandan didn't blame her though. He was her husband in the end. If she didn't look, who would? Damn, the brat went mad. Seeing them turned around, Xie Tianyang did the same and cursed, "I know what he wants to do. With his stinking temper, he plans on using this humiliation of seeing him pee as an excuse to kill them all." What? Peony Overseer was panicking. Impossible! Won't that make him a demon in this world? Did the world have someone like him? Humph, he has been a freak from the start, one that enjoys killing. He is a demon through and through. Xie Tianyang was certain of it, so don't look at him below his waist or he'll use it as an excuse to kill us. Long Zhuo stroked his beard. It was a far-fetched possibility, but Zhuo was very much capable of doing it, especially when mad, so he pulled Long Jie and Long Kuei and turned them around. Seeing even Long Zhu doing it, Chu Qingtian and the overseers believed him capable of it. With a nervous heart, they knew not who Zhuo was in reality, but the way these people behaved was as if they were afraid of him. If Zhuo ever found out, he'd give Xie Tianyang a thrashing he wouldn't ever forget, and scold something along the lines of, "Since when have I become a murderous demon? Well, yes, people have called me a freak, but that's about my strength. I also killed, true, but only my enemies. I am also a demon, true, but that's because I'm the proud demonic emperor. Are you looking to ruin my name by spreading these falsehoods?" Chapter 135 Fading Pill. Chapter 135 Fading Pill. P4553R. Whoosh. A golden pillar of light shot from the cauldron. The sputtering flames suddenly flared and spiraled around the golden pillar in the form of a fire dragon. Zhuo hand shifted gestures as he chanted. Yin turns to yang, a snake transforms into a dragon. Ascend and scale the gates of heaven. Roar. With another dragon roar, The mixture in the cauldron that Zhuo Fan irrigated flickered with a golden glow. Soon, this golden liquid began to move like a stream, along with the dragon. As the golden concoction flowed upward, the dragon's aura grew and grew, as if the golden liquid was its blood, its life. The audience was dumbstruck, including Tianyu's most renowned alchemists. They have forgotten their own refining. Watching this unbelievable spectacle, they had refined for dozens of years, but this was their first time seeing someone doing it with such flair. As he watched in a daze the slowly rising liquid in the dragon, vicious Pill King's heart was restless. He began to rush the refining of his own pill, pouring more power into his flame. Snickering, Zhuo Fan shouted, "Old fool, you're too late. The second round's top spot is for no one else but me." Zhuo Fan punctuated with a change in his gesture and called out. Sacred Dragon prevailed and returned successfully. Dragon power flows into the fire and gives birth to the pill. A sudden ripple spread from the light pillar and burst into golden lights that littered the sky. The fire dragon stuck the light pillar to turn its head and smashed into the cauldron. Boom! The fire dragon's body exploded and formed a fireball. Before the fire passed, the sparkling golden lights gathered around the flaming cauldron. The lights formed a net that tightened the fireball as it shrunk with a final heaven-shaking dragon roar. All the golden lights gathered and condescended into a golden pill. Zhuo Fan beckoned, and the pill landed in his hand. He raised it way above him and shouted, "Third-grade pill, Yang Dragon pill, complete." Zhuo Fan's announcement rang in everyone's ears, but they were still in shock, marveling at what they just witnessed. When they recovered, they were gobsmacked, especially the alchemists. They found it unimaginable. Wasn't Grandmaster Song's pill a failure? How did it succeed? They turned their confused eyes to the judge, Xiaoya. Understanding their concerns, Xiaoya muttered under her breath, before walking to Zhuo Fan. However, she was hesitant about getting anywhere near the pill, even more so about touching it. Everyone saw how Zhuo Fan made this crazy pill. He poured his very essence into it. Regardless if it was a third-grade pill, it was hard for Xiaoya to even approach it. Grandmaster Song, are you certain it's a third-grade pill? Xiaoya fidgeted in embarrassment, arching an eyebrow. Zhuo Fan presented the pill with a sneer. You're the judge. It's your call. If you can't tell with your eyes, eat it and make your decision. Xiaoya's face was twitching, anger bubbling from within. Zhuo Fan was obviously poking fun at her. Forget about it being a third-grade pill. Because of the ingredients, this missy here wouldn't eat it even if it were a seventh-grade pill. Though, many were eyeing her with expectant gazes. She had no choice but to hold it in and give them an explanation. She sighed and took the hateful pill, made with, but not limited to, this spiteful man's golden essence. But the moment it landed in her palm, she felt it was ice-cold to the touch. Why wasn't the pill hot after just being refined by such blazing fire? Xiaoya was puzzled and, after more analyzing, she was baffled. The pill wasn't hot at all and didn't even have a fragrance. Like a mudball, without anything great about it. No way. With the show this brat put on, there's no way it's a dud. It is possible for a pill to be this strange? Xiaoya couldn't for the life of her make anything out of it after a long time. Sorry, Grandmaster Song. I can't tell your Yang Dragon pill's grade. The audience was speechless. All pills had grades. Was she saying this pill was made of waste and was beneath grading? Listening to the endless comments, Zhuo Fan smiled. Then why not eat it and feel for its grade? The crowd cheered, eat, eat, eat. Xiaoya felt pained, glaring at Zhuo Fan. She now looked at the pill in her hands on the verge of tears. It was great, if it was a real pill. If not, doesn't that just mean I drank his pee? Xiaoya was in a pickle, not knowing what to do. Suddenly an aged voice came. Judge, no need to eat it. Split the pill and you can discern its grade. Only. What only? Anyways, we'll do it as Grandmaster Lu suggests. Xiaoya was grasping straws at this point. She gave thanks for his help and split the pill. Whoosh. Golden mist drifted from within, still containing the roars of dragons. The pill fragrance instantly swept the whole arena with each whiff. The people's souls shuddered and their yuan qi surging. It was already strong without taking it. How great would it be once it was eaten then? It was no longer just a third-grade pill. They all waited for Xiao Ya's verdict. She was also out of it as she cried, it's a fifth-grade pill. Her answer caused chaos. What in God's name was that secret skill? How did he make a fifth-grade pill from second-grade pill ingredients? Where did this Grandmaster song come from? Wait! Xiao Ya blinked and sported doubt on her face. This pill just dropped a grade. It's now a fourth-grade pill. The people were again shocked. This was too damn odd. We never heard of a pill that drops in grade. Xiao Ya then followed with, it's now third grade, second, first. Xiao Ya's voice made the audience's heart skip. Then, Xiao Ya took a deep breath, watching everyone perplexed. I am correct. This pill lost all of its effects. She watched the split pill in her hand. These are only waste. Silent as the grave. None could utter a single sound. A pill could actually have its effect fade, only leaving behind waste. This was too bizarre. The pill wasn't alive, so how could it run away? But even if it was and ran away, there were too many people here for it to get out alive. Grandmaster song. What is this? Xiao Ya spoke with a trembling voice. Zhuo shrugged. I told you to eat it, but now it's too late. She should have known this punk would mess with her. So she ignored him and looked at the rest of the alchemists. It was only now that Vicious Pill King withdrew his flame and held a red pill. He sighed. I didn't think I'd be a step behind. But it still isn't too late. He then threw the pill to Xiao Ya. She cried, as expected of Vicious Pill King. This is a fourth-grade pill. Your skill is marvelous to refine such a pill with only second-grade pill ingredient. Though she sang praises, her words didn't get the expected reaction from the crowd. They only oohed and ahed, seeing Zhuofan's heaven-shaking secret skill. Who would dare utter the words marvelous skill? Even Vicious Pill King just closes his eyes, striking a lonely figure. What's wrong with everyone? We are not sure what grade of pill Grandmaster Song's pill is. What do you mean unclear? Some may not see, but the top 10 alchemists are clear on that pill's outstanding effect. Luizhen cut her off. Lady, you're too young. You may be enough to judge our pills, but not enough to see the true value of Grandmaster Song's pill. Xiao Ya vehemently denied it. She was no Grandmaster, but saw countless pills and judged them all fairly. How can I possibly not be able to judge a stinky kid's pill? But then she saw the top 10 alchemists sporting solemn expressions. Even Vicious Pill King had to make a nod. Just what is this? Isn't he and Grandmaster Song in a bitter battle? Why is he taking his side? Vicious Pill King didn't want to admit Zhuofan's ability, but sensed the value of his refining skill. However, was he the only one? If he denied it, he would only earn the others' ridicule. He held the highest ability in alchemy up till now. But now, he didn't even have the right to shame his opponent. After all, Zhuofan's skills were indeed incredible. Did I see it correctly? Xie Tianyang blinked. Vicious Pill King just admitted defeat in front of everyone? Is this still Elder Yen, who always cared about his reputation? Chu Qingqing's group was amazed. It wasn't easy squeezing a win from this old coot's mouth. Just where did this fake song you come from? Peony Overseer's eyes flashed. Young Master Xie, you know this fake song don't you? I don't think you know him at all, describing him as a murderous demon. He is an alchemist, right? Peony Overseer blushed at the end. Zhuofan's recent conduct wasn't exactly stellar. After all, he did something so unrefined. Lifting his head in pride, Xie Tianyang snorted. Did I ever say otherwise? I've been through hell with him. Then what is his name? But Xie Tianyang caught himself before playing into Peony Overseer's game and snickered. I won't tell you. Just enjoy the show. Peony Overseer glared at him with gnashed teeth. Long Zhuo shook his head, but his eyes were filled with admiration for Zhuo Fan. He not only knows of ancient arrays but an ancient refining skill too? Just who is he? How does he have so many treasures on him? He was but a servant in the Luo clan before. Was it possible that... Chapter 136, Secret Art That Shakes the People. Chapter 136, Secret Art That Shakes the People. In the arena, Xiaoyu was pacing back and forth, her brows locked in deep thought. Many alchemists started turning in their pills, qualifying for the next round. But regarding the first place, she was still uncertain what to do. It was a spot that could only be taken by either Grandmaster Song or Vicious Pill King. While Vicious Pill King's 4th grade pill was held in her hand, Grandmaster Song's pill turned into a waste after cutting it in two. How could she possibly judge this? Despite not being so erudite, the fading pill was a 5th grade pill. But why did it drop grades? What was up with that? Without getting to the bottom of it, she couldn't make a call. If she put Grandmaster Song in first place, she wouldn't know how to explain if the need arose. Putting Vicious Pill King first would earn the scorn of the top 10 alchemists, as if saying this lady was too green and unable to see the pill's secret. What vexed her most was Vicious Pill King also looked at her the same. She was thoroughly stuck. This was her first time in all her years of judging that she encountered such a problem. She could only turn to Lu Yizhen, pleading for guidance. She found him the most amiable among the top 10 grandmasters. As for Zhuo Fan and Vicious Pill King, one smug, the other an iceberg, it was best to ignore them. Meanwhile, she avoided asking Aunt Tao or Yen Fu as they might play favorites. Grandmaster Lu, could you please explain to me what is so great about Grandmaster Song's pill? Lu Yizhen bowed to Zhuo Fan first. It was a gesture of respect to seniors among alchemists. Lu Yizhen was among the 10 best alchemists in the empire. Yet, he has never bowed, even to Vicious Pill King. He was convinced Zhuo Fan's refining skill was a cut above everyone here. He was on another level. This bow made everyone drop their jaws. Even the amateur alchemists. They knew Zhuo Fan was amazing, but not this much. Until Lu Yizhen, a grandmaster, bowed to him as a junior. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, not expecting the old guy to disregard his own reputation, and nodded. This nod had another meaning among alchemists. Secret skills were passed down through the generations, never divulged. If someone guessed some points about a pill, they could not speak without the owner's explicit accord. It would be a gross form of disrespect, cutting all ties at best, or fighting to the death at worst. Lu Yizhen bowed in respect and Zhuo Fan nodded his assent. Lu Yizhen smiled. Young miss, Grandmaster Song's skill is beyond amazing. Did you know that Grandmaster Song's secret refining skill is the legendary long-lost skill, Sacred Dragon Evocation? What? Ancient secret skill. The people froze in shock. Even Long Zhuo's group, as well as Huangpu Qingyun's, they all went slack-jawed. The ancient refining skill had been lost for so long they became legends. It was inconceivable how such a legendary skill would appear in the hands of a youth. The people started to get excited, watching with shining eyes. Xiaoyu looked at Zhuo Fan incredulously. She found him too young at first. But now, he could compete with Vicious Pill King, and make everyone speechless. But it went far beyond that. He used an ancient secret refining skill, one long lost in legends. That was why the proud Vicious Pill King conceded. Who could contest with an alchemist that used an ancient secret refining skill? But Grandmaster Lu, why did Grandmaster Song's pill turn to waste like this? Xiaoya bit her lip and rushed to ask for an answer. Shaking his head, Lu Yizhen showed great veneration. This is exactly what made Grandmaster Song's pill so miraculous. It wasn't fading, but used by all of us instead. What? His words sent ripples of shock through the audience. Lu Yizhen continued. A normal pill, regardless of grade, could only use 50% of its ingredients' effect. But the ancient secret skill Sacred Dragon Call was said to make use of everything they had. Everything was refined. Once eaten, it would immediately dissolve. That golden mist coming from the pill was its true essence. If someone swallowed it, it was the same as a fifth-grade pill. But it was instead dispersed to the surrounding, and everyone else benefited from it. Now it has been used up, it is no different than leftover material. This is why I immediately felt deep regret when I said you could split the pill. I see. I now understand why I felt so energized after breathing in the pill's aroma. They all agreed and looked at Zhuo with admiration. Grandmaster Lu, why did the grade drop? Xiaoye asked her most pressing question. This had to do with judging who was in first place. Lu Yizhen's face froze and shook his head awkwardly. Ha ha ha, I'm not sure either. I have only read some records regarding this ancient secret refining skill. The only one who knows its secrets is only Grandmaster Song. Whoosh! In a blink, eyes whipped to Zhuo. Xiaoye was no different. Zhuo raised his eyebrows and grinned evilly. Want to know? He, but I won't tell you unless you beg for it. You! Xiaoye glared with hatred at him. She may have been disrespectful, but not enough to condone such constant mockery, but that's how petty Zhuo was. He looked askance, clearly meaning to evoke others to know his thought. On your knees and beg for it, or yours truly won't say a word. I already displayed my skill and earned my right as the first place. Now you want me to share my secrets with the whole crowd? His attitude allowed others to understand the reason. So, even if they were in the Drifting Flowers edifice, they lifted their fists, beg, beg, beg. The crowd roared with mighty force, shaking the entire Drifting Flowers arena. Huangpu Qingyun's mood darkened. He didn't think Zhuo had such skill to turn this around and grasp everyone's hearts. This was the way of a ruler. This man must not be allowed to live. Huangpu Qingyun glared with hatred. His followers nodded. Lu Yizhen didn't think much of the scene and only shook his head. Grandmaster Song is such a prankster, ha ha ha. With the hall shouting beg, Xiaoye was on the verge of tears. While Zhuo just leaned on the cauldron impassive, it seemed he'd only give up after she kneeled helpless. Xiaoye's tears flowed, and her slender legs began to buckle, but an angry roar came from the terrace. Song Yu, stop playing around. Zhuo was startled and looked at the angry Chu Qingtian. With a helpless smile, he relented in her favor and shook his hand at Xiaoye. Whatever, it was only a joke. You take me for such a heartless man? I do. Xiaoye didn't dare say it, however. She gave a look of thanks towards Chu Qingtian. As to why yours truly used this secret skill, you have Vicious Pill King to thank for that. He was so careless in spilling some green python scale mixture after all. Now that Xiaoye was off the hook, Zhuo started explaining. But the first thing he did was drag Vicious Pill King into this. The crowd had become calmed, listening enraptured to Grandmaster Song's lecture of his skill. Grandmaster Song is still blaming me for my inadvertent mistake? Vicious Pill King squinted, shaking his hand. Zhuo shook his head. Why, I would never. I am only thanking you. Sacred Dragon evocation has the dragon word in it, and had to have an ingredient related to dragons. The Yang pill had no such ingredient. Meanwhile, a snake was, for all intents and purposes, can be considered a small dragon. Your mistake granted me the liberty to use this secret art. But the snake is Yin, while the Yang pill only had Yang ingredient. And Grandmaster Song's Yang dragon pill is also Yang. I did not sense any Yin inside. Vicious Pill King's eyelid twitched, clenching his fists, snickering. Zhuo mocked. You think the likes of you can unravel the mysteries of an ancient secret skill? Yin and Yang restrain each other, but can also interchange. To evoke the Yang out of this Yin, green python scale extract, I had to rely on yours truly's essence to wash it down with additional incentive. Holding his belly, Zhuo laughed out. Pea is water, and water is Yin. But a virgin is pure Yang. Yours truly used his pure Yang pea to change Yin into Yang, to turn a snake into a dragon. Not only has the ingredients been refined completely, but there was also the extreme Yang dragon power. This allowed the second-grade pill to rise to the 5th grade. A pity that once the pill is split, the pill's effect starts to leak along with the dragon power, lowering its grade and potency. Now everyone understood and looked at Zhuo Fan with a greater admiration for his secret refining skill. Vicious Pill King was no different, clapping his hands with force, fully admitting defeat in his heart. Grandmaster Song is unparalleled in his refining skill. I concede this round to you without remorse. However, Grandmaster Song, you're at a disadvantage. The next round is mine. Vicious Pill King's eyes flickered with killing intent. Zhuo Fan grinned the two locked eyes, and even a blind man could see they were at odds. Tao Danyang was moved. It caught her by surprise. The fact that Zhuo Fan could make Vicious Pill King admit his loss his future was boundless. Then she started worrying. Vicious Pill King's last words pointed at Zhuo Fan's weaker cultivation. Even with Zhuo Fan's unparalleled refining skill, he could not beat Vicious Pill King helpless. Tao Danyang was thinking on how to settle this, and not let such a great youth fall here. It was only now that Xiaoya spoke after having made her decision. In this round, 39 passed and 11 forfeited. The first place stays with Grandmaster Song. The second place is Vicious Pill King's. Her words traveled far and the crowd began to wonder why so many people withdrew. They had no way to know that many felt inferior after they witnessed Zhuo's refining skill. Their confidence was in shambles. If an alchemist had no confidence, how could they refine? Chapter 137 Zhuo Fan's Weakness. Chapter 137 Zhuo Fan's Weakness. Wonderful! We won another round. Peony Overseer cried in joy. The other two women were also sporting smiles. Song Yu was a fake, but his refining skill couldn't be more genuine. If it weren't for him, Vicious Pill King would have been in the lead. If things continue like this, the best alchemist in the empire would finally be defeated. Dong Tianba saw them so excited and hesitated to speak. Edifice Lord Chu, I may be presumptuous, but I am certain that man is not Brother Song Yu. To be blunt, me and Brother Song Yu are very close. There's no way he's a virgin. So what if he isn't Song Yu? It was Xiao Dandan who spoke in his defense. No matter who he is, he will always be my darling. Chu Qingtian and the overseers nodded. Chu Qingtian smiled. Dong Tianbao, his killing intent must have scared you. To the point where you did not manage to hear our conversation. Young Master Xie already stated that that man is a friend of his, and not Song Yu. Then what happened to Brother Song Yu? Isn't it obvious? He killed him. Why else would he dare take his face and run around the place? Xie Tianyang laughed, patting Dong Tianba's shoulder. Then admired Chu Qingqing. Great sister-in-law knows how to handle her husband well. I will rely on you in the future to get this brat to fall in line. Don't ever let him harm others, especially me. Chu Qingqing blushed and hid it with anger. Young Master Xie, what nonsense are you saying? Nothing in particular. Xie Tianyang blinked as he stated in all seriousness. That brat is petty and spiteful. If someone punched him, he replies with 10 slashes of the sword. But your earlier words restricted his nefarious temper. Great sister-in-law is highly valued in his heart. Perhaps only you can curb his murderous streak, and also appreciate him more. Chu Qingqing's blush was fierce and demurely nodded, but her heart was overjoyed. Is he that frightening? Chu Qingqing muttered frowning. Xie Tianyang looked at Long Jiu and the rest. Then they all nodded. They all held fear in their eyes, no exception sighing. Chu Qingqing smiled broadly. If such a terrifying man changed for her, that meant his feelings for her were real. My ideal husband is like Qingtian. A dashing hero, willing to risk his life for me. Today I have found him. Chu Qingqing watched Zhuo Fan with a warmer gaze, her feelings for him growing ever more. Boom! In the western stand, Huangpu Qingyun banged the table. The heavily cracked stone table turned to dust. The others by his side jumped in fear and reeled a step. The second round is another failure. and Elder Yen even admitted defeat. Tell me, does he have any chance of getting the Bodhi root and that punk's head on a platter? Huangpu Qingyun's eyes were chilling to the bone. None made a peep. Lin Zitian's eyes shifted. This is a perfect chance to kiss some ass. He advised, Second young master, please quell your anger. Elder Yen is known as the Vicious Pill King, the best alchemist in the empire. A slight oversight, causing him to lose 2 rounds, is of no consequence. Believe in him, as he is sure to have a plan. Lin Zitian's words were more or less the same as Fifth Elder's. Shoving the blame on Yen Song regardless of the outcome. Too bad. This time was different. Huangpu Qingyun's eyebrows trembled, trying his hardest to calm himself. Oh? Since Elder Lin believes Elder Yen so much, then I will hold you responsible if he fails. Wadesh. Lin Zitian was dumbstruck. Why aren't you treating me the same as you were to the Fifth Elder? Watching this scene play out, the Fifth Elder was now laughing and mocking him. Lin Zitian is an opportunist, but has no ass-kissing techniques. Copying me is not helpful at all and will be detrimental instead. Playing the same flattery won't work. Huangpu Qingyun valued Yen Song greatly before. Therefore, raising Yen Song in esteem worked then. But now that he failed a second time, Huangpu Qingyun's thoughts on Yen Song have changed. He is pissed at Elder Yan's inability to do anything. Praising him now would only set Huangpu Qingyun off in directing his anger onto you. Fawning is also a skill, so, as an opportunist, you better start practicing it. Fifth Elder cackled in his heart, while Lin Zitian was on the verge of crying. What bad luck. I always... Ding. A clear ringing signaled the start of the 3rd round. Xiaoya looked at the 40 alchemists. This round will be regarding your refining ability. At her words, everyone focused on the first place. On Zhuo Fan they witnessed his ability, and were clear that Grandmaster Song ruled in the refining skill department. One man sighed, another watched the sky in sadness, both equally depressed for having no chance to win. Only the top 10 alchemists kept a calm face. They knew that alchemy was based on refining skills, but it was not the only deciding factor to make a pill after 2 rounds. They realized the conditions were increasingly harder to fulfill. As the grade of the pills required increased, Zhuo Fan began to reveal his weakness. This was what they've been waiting for. Zhuo Fan was indeed a grand genius of alchemy, but wasn't infallible. He could not use his refining skill and refine any kind of pill he wanted. In this round, Grandmasters need to refine a 5th-grade pill. Xiaoya declared. Zhuo Fan began to frown, while the top 10 alchemists expected it. Vicious Pill King, in particular, showed his sinister smile towards Zhuo Fan. The faster you can make it, the higher you will climb. The first to finish will enter the Pill King finals of this competition. Begin. They started igniting their Yuan Qi flame just as she finished. Most had no choice but to make use of the cauldron. But only Vicious Pill King and Tao Danyang refined with their hand. These 2's skills were far higher than theirs, but when people looked at Zhuo Fan, they saw him just standing there. Even his expression was grave. Oh no, he's in trouble. Long Zhuo was getting anxious. The others too watched him nervously. Peony Overseer, with her fiery temper, was even more so. Uncle Zhuo, what's wrong? Wasn't he unparalleled so far? Why isn't he moving? Long Zhuo stared at the frozen Zhuo Fan and sighed. Because of this brat's weakness. Weakness? Yes. Long Zhuo spoke gravely. He won in the first 2 rounds against everyone and even made Vicious Pill King concede because of his incredible secret refining skill. There are 3 deciding factors to an alchemist's level: cultivation, flame, and refining skill. Cultivation is used to supply the flame for longer periods of time, the flame is for refining ingredients, and the refining skill needs to be high enough to handle high-grade pills. But Long Zhuo clenched his teeth. This kid's refining skill is amazing, however that is all he has. His flame is just a normal one made from Yuan Qi. But what's worse, his cultivation is only in the 2nd layer of bone tempering stage. Any alchemist with this cultivation could refine a third-grade pill at most. Yet he used second-grade pill ingredients to make a fifth-grade pill. That is his limit. Now that he is competing against the other grandmasters, with fifth-grade pill ingredients being used, his flame is inadequate. Meanwhile, his cultivation is shallow. I am certain he will not be able to refine the ingredients before his yuan qi runs out. Refining such high-grade ingredients is a whole other matter. The shock was palpable and they turned to watch Zhuo on his last leg, but this time with sorrow. Master, if Darling loses, will he lose his head too? Please save him. Xiao Dandan pleaded. Long Zhuo and the others weren't worried though. Zhuo wasn't one who lost his head that easily. It was more correct to say others lost their heads to him even in the off chance he lost. He'd just stick to the basics, killing people and uprooting their any source of trouble. In their minds, he was in no trouble. They did not realize, however, how important this competition was to Zhuo. He couldn't fail here. It concerned returning Qingtian's favor. The Luo clan was already running him into the ground with all its needs, and having Qingtian's drifting flowers edifice hanging overhead was too much for him to handle. Zhuo was now considering whether to use the azure flame or not. Chapter 138 Failure. Chapter 138 Failure. The mysterious azure flame was what Zhuo had got from the expert in All Beast Mountain Range. His low cultivation didn't allow control over even 1,000th of its power, but one thing was certain. This azure flame was a legendary flame even in the sacred domain. So 1,000th was enough to refine a high-grade pill. However. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo watched the top 10 alchemists hard at work. Vicious Pill King, his disciple, and Tao Danyang were the only ones relaxed. They had to have a card up their sleeve to use at the right moment in the finals. Meanwhile, the azure flame was Zhuo's hidden trump card. Taking it out so soon would get Vicious Pill King to target him. Best leave it for last. That left him with only one choice, though somewhat volatile. Zhuo sighed and made his move under the riveted eyes of the audience. They wanted to see what shocking achievement this amazing genius with a secret refining skill would give them next. Yet Zhuo simply ignited a red yuan qi flame in his palm and threw fifth-grade ingredients in using hand signs without the godly secret refining skill, and without using the same refining ability he started with in the second round, the ingredient. Refinement seemed to go nowhere fast. Zhuo's display was so plain because the flame he was using was even weaker than all other alchemists. Those fifth-grade ingredients in that weak flame got refined at a snail's pace, needing a long time for even a drop to be extracted compared to earlier show of force. Zhuo's refining time was not only average, but even lackluster, as if all other alchemists' refining ability here looked far better than his. Such disparity disappointed everyone. They saw the greatest talent in alchemy climb to the top only to fall back into the mud. The top 10 alchemists watched on with regret and helplessness, but mostly with content. This punk's weakness is finally revealed in the third round. Among the snickers, Zhuo's figure standing in the first spot looked quite bleak, as if to correlate his inability this round. His smugness was nowhere to be seen. Xiao Ye was a bit curious, speaking somewhat without meaning to. What is wrong with Grandmaster Song in this round? He isn't himself anymore. He, that's normal. Vicious Pill King took pleasure at his plight. His refining ability had reached his peak, and can go no further. Xiao Ye asked skeptically, Elder Yen, what do you mean? The other alchemists started letting out a carefree laughter. What I mean is that he can only refine low-grade pills. Still not understanding, Vicious Pill King was quite patient and enjoyed explaining this to her. In alchemy, flames are divided into gentle and fierce flames. Common ingredients for low-grade pills use the gentle flame, otherwise the fierce flame will burn them. And when refining high-grade ingredients, the gentle flame falls short, but this punk's cultivation is too low to control the fierce flame. He has no way to refine fifth-grade ingredient. Vicious Pill King snickered, then mocked Zhuo, This is your weakness. Am I right, brat? Ignoring him, Zhuo was still as patient as he was calm, focused on his refining. But how did Grandmaster Song refine the 5th grade Yang Dragon pill? Shaking his head, Vicious Pill King derided. It was made with 2nd grade ingredients, forcefully refined then turned into a 5th grade pill. It is not a true 5th grade pill. But even I must admit that refining skill is indeed legendary. If he were to refine 5th grade ingredients, he could make a 7th grade pill. What a shame, The people looked on with lament at his words. Their hearts were filled with the odd sense of grief when they gazed upon the lonely yet persevering figure no one knew when, but for the thousands of alchemists around watching, Zhuo caught all their attention. The shock Zhuo's secret refining skill instilled was far too great. With how lonely he looked now, he made others feel sad. Vicious Pill King, however, couldn't be more chipper, casting stones at the helpless, kicking him when he was down. This earned the public's distaste. Grandmaster Song, you can do it! We're cheering for you! At some point, someone cried out in encouragement. After one, many soon followed, and cheers broke out everywhere. Grandmaster Song, you're the greatest! Grandmaster Song, we love you! Grandmaster Song, I want your babies! The entire Drifting Flowers arena was aboil. Xie Tianyang and his group were dumbstruck by the waves after waves of cheering. This punk made one pill and now has everyone siding with him? There was even one saying she wants his babies. What does he have that I, the Grand Sword Marquise Abode's young master, don't? Turning around, Zhuo gave a small wave and the crowd settled. Not even 7 houses' elders had such a sway over the masses. Thank you all for your support. Zhuo's face was solemn, his words sincere. I hail from a third-rate clan and have already shown everything that I've learned so that I may die without regrets. On the path of alchemy, what we refine is our heart, and my heart wants is to be the best. I only ask that you watch my final refining and honor my parting. With his final word, Zhuo returned to work hard on his refining, the difficult 5th grade ingredient. But the heaven-toppling pill written on his cloak had everyone in tears. He was no mere genius of alchemy, but a man who pledged himself to alchemy. A hero with a noble pursuit, he was not like Vicious Pill King and the others, making use of vile acts while refining. No, his heart was being refined to be the best in the world. It was a pure and grand heart of gold. You are so modest, Grandmaster Song. Please receive this salute from us. The eliminated alchemists watched the persevering Zhuo despite knowing he'd fail. Their heart was filled with admiration, especially those who forfeited on the eastern stand. Huangpu Qingyun laughed, unrestrained. No matter how much sympathy he'd garner, his life was through. As far as the 7 houses were concerned, would these third-rate clans dare rebel against Regent Estate, the strongest of the 7 houses? On the terrace, Chu Qingtian and the overseers knew he was a fake, but their eyes reddened still. Zhuo's grieved figure, like a tragic hero, touched a soft spot in their womanly hearts. Xiao Dandan was bawling her lungs out, taking Zhuo's words as a eulogy to himself. Xie Tianyang curled his lip in helplessness. He's good, faking again. However, he should avoid faking it like before, allowing someone else to trip him up while he does it. This brat is shrewd. How can he fall for the same trick twice? Long Zhu shook his head. The way I see it, he has something big planned. If not, he would not change tunes so quickly. What plan? Rubbing her red eyes, Long Kue sniffed. This brat is so evil. If he's not making people angry, he's making them cry. Long Zhuo was out of sorts. Little Kue, don't you also understand that he is acting? Why are you also crying? Long Kue complained. I was too engrossed. Staggering, Long Zhuo and Xie Tianyang laughed bitterly and wiped the cold sweat off their brows. Women. In the arena, Vicious Pill King had finished refining the ingredients and was beginning to combine them. The other alchemists were also halfway done with refining, but Zhuofan's refining hadn't even passed 20%. Vicious Pill King saw it and mocked. "Punk, it's pointless to grasp the heart of the public. Even if you stir those trash into saving you, they have no power. Just wait patiently for me to climb onto the first spot and take your head." "Eh? I wouldn't speak so soon if I were you." Zhuofan raised an eyebrow, then gestured at the slowly refined ingredients. Universe palm. With a muffled sound, light smoke started drifting from his hand. Vicious Pill King laughed. "Ha ha ha, killing the fire before the ingredients finished refining will destroy them. You should work hard even if you lose. Or is this your last act before dying?" Zhuofan ignored his yapping. He was nervous inside, his attention riveted to his slowly opening fist. A pity that what greeted him was ashes and not a complete pill. Failure! Zhuofan's heart sank and looked at Vicious Pill King. His concoction has melded. The only thing that is left is to shape it into a pill. If this went on, the third round's first place would be his. Taking a deep breath, Zhuofan's eyes flashed coldly and his mouth perked into an evil grin. "Old fart, you dared play tricks on yours truly before. This time I will return it tenfold." Chapter 139 Payback. Chapter 139 Payback. Heavens, what's going on? Grandmaster Song, who brought a failed batch of refining last time, has lost for the first time in 3 rounds. Is Elder Yan's deduction correct? Can Grandmaster Song really not make a 5th-grade pill? Zhuofan opened his fist and showed the black ash. Xiaoye even cried. She couldn't get to speak as a sharp glare landed on her. Shivering, Xiaoye watched Zhuo's eyes in fear and closed her mouth. But her cry was already loud enough, and everyone heard it. People started to feel uneasy and watched Zhuofan with worry. Those high on the terrace were even more nervous. Since the start of the 100-pill meeting, Vicious Pill King had been stifled. Especially the arrogant air that surrounds him. This is all because of Zhuofan. If Zhuofan lost, then who would be Vicious Pill King's match? Tao Danyang? Haha, she was quite a renowned 6th-grade alchemist. But Vicious Pill King never took her seriously. Everyone knew Zhuofan's secret ancient skill, and his talent had placed the Vicious Pill King on the 2nd spot. If Zhuofan was gone, he would once again be the best in the empire. The people now looked on at Zhuofan with hope. Even those who came only to bring some good alchemists back to their clans couldn't keep calm and looked towards Zhuofan. It was a disastrous loss for a young genius alchemist to lose the competition, lose his life all because of his low cultivation. But this was the reality. After his first failure, Zhuofan froze ashen on the spot. It felt like an unimaginable blow and sank into despair. Ah, what a pitiful child! Many women started shedding tears. Vicious Pill King was snorting, no longer paying this despairing loser any more of his time, focusing on his own pill. The yuan qi flame in his hand burned hotter, and the concoction was slowly taking the form of a pill. It wouldn't be long before Vicious Pill King finished. Meanwhile, Tao Danyang was getting nervous, trying to rush things, but her ingredients had only just finished being refined and didn't have enough time to catch up to Vicious Pill King, who was close to finishing. This was a time of crisis. Qingtian's group was also nervous, shifting their gazes from the depressed Zhuofan to Tao Danyang and Vicious Pill King. Watching them with clenched fists and sweating in anxiety. Ha ha ha, I win. The 3rd round's first place is mine, and so is the punk's head. Just as Tao Danyang's pill took a tentative form, Vicious Pill King laughed. Among the flames in Vicious Pill King's hand, a lustrous pill appeared. The completion was now imminent. No one could stop him from being the next Pill King. Humph, you're hundreds of years too early if you think you can best me. Vicious Pill King roared in glee. It wasn't easy. That punk had pushed me back the last 2 rounds, but now I can show off my skill. The closer the pill was to finishing, the more outrageous Vicious Pill King's smile became. He was more glad now than when he made his first 7th grade pill. Huangpu Qingyun was also nodding in satisfaction. Tao Danyang clenched her teeth in regret, and Chu Qingqing's group was filled with hatred. Everything had turned to dust and impossible to come back from. Vicious Pill King would become the winner of the 3rd round and was one step closer to earning Drifting Flowers Edifice's Bodhi root. No one could stop him now. Drifting Flowers Edifice would fall at this moment. Achoo! A sudden and violent sneeze echoed around, and the fire in Vicious Pill King's hand exploded. Vicious Pill King lost focus for a moment, and his beard and eyebrows burned alongside the pill to ashes. Oh! This shocked the crowd silly, looking at each other in a daze. Why did it blow up all of a sudden? The best alchemist in the Empire wouldn't make such a mistake. Trembling, Vicious Pill King's body froze. He turned his head, with a face so livid. An explosion was about to occur, and where was he looking at? It was nowhere else but at Zhuo. The others also looked to find in shock that the depressed Zhuo was no more, back to his usual self, and sporting an extra sly grin. Below his nose there were 2 trails of green snot dangling. SSS. He sniffed the green snot back in, and Zhuo smiled as he rubbed his nose in apology. Ha ha ha, do forgive me, Elder Yen. I must have caught a cold. Everyone's eyes bugged out. Their faces twitched and couldn't figure out if they should cry or laugh. Oh, Grandmaster Song, your excuse is beyond lame. Even worse than Vicious Pill King's. Since when do cultivators catch colds? After qi condensation stage, no minor disease works all right? Plus, you're in the bone tempering stage, for crying out loud. If you wanted payback, then do it, no one's stopping you. But do everyone a favor and pick a better excuse next time. Do you think we're 3-year-olds? Everyone could see it. Not to mention, Zhuo particularly targeted Vicious Pill King to become the victim of the explosion. Vicious Pill King was so angry, he was about to lose his mind. He was only a blink away from finishing his 5th grade pill and winning. But at this critical juncture, Zhuo played a trick on him and made all his effort go out in smoke. It was the same as looking 5 decades for the treasure of his dreams, and just when he reached for it, someone pounded it with a hammer. Such pain was enough to make even his heart cry. P-Punk, I will kill you. Vicious Pill King's shaking was obvious to anyone with eyes. He was pushing the anger back, though he didn't manage to hold everything in as his shout released his mighty power, causing the flames of other alchemists to sway. Backed by incredible pressure, Vicious Pill King struck a palm towards Zhuo. Yet Zhuo stood there smiling like everything was normal in the world. Whoosh! A silk ribbon flew that locked Vicious Pill King's palm in place. Chu Qingqing's figure stood next to Zhuo and pulled on the ribbon to divert Vicious Pill King's attack. Elder Yen, this is the 100-pill meeting of Drifting Flowers Edifice. If you want to cause trouble, please leave. Chu Qingqing glared, gnashing his teeth. Vicious Pill King stared at Zhuo behind Chu Qingqing and knew it wouldn't be easy to attack now. He pointed at Zhuo and rebuked, Edifice Lord Chu, it's not me who started it. This punk broke the rules and disturbed my refining first. When did I disturb you? Zhuo raised an eyebrow, not backing an inch, snorting. Vicious Pill King pointed at the crowd. Everyone saw you. My pill was almost finished and your sneeze ruined everything. A mishap. Zhuo smiled. Didn't I say already? I caught a cold. Cut the crap. Can a bone-tempering cultivator even catch a cold? You cut it. A 7th grade alchemist can splash his mixture, but yours truly can't catch a cold? Zhuo bit back at every turn. Vicious Pill King stammered for a while. Tongue-tied, he was waiting for this. In any case, there was no way a bone-tempering cultivator could catch a cold, nor a 7th grade alchemist could splash his concoction, since he used such an excuse before. Then this brat could use it too. Vicious Pill King hated himself from being such a blabbermouth. He only had to use that old brain of his more and think of a better excuse, and get the upper hand. However, now, this punk had ruined everything with but a sneeze. Worse, there was no way to refute it. Taking deep breaths, Vicious Pill King calmed down with much difficulty. His green eyes flashed with hatred at Zhuo Fan. You sure have gal, punk. Your snot was too damn precise. Chose the perfect timing to land on my pill and ruin it at the last moment. If the fire was still at the strongest, then your snot would have been burnt instead of landing in the crack of the pill and making it explode. Ha ha ha, what a genius. You are so precise in his sneezing that I have to admire you. Vicious Pill King's killing intent grew as sarcasm dripped from his tone. But Zhuo Fan took it in stride. You're far too kind. It's because we are the very best. Great minds think alike, you know. Just look. You are Vicious Pill King and I am Heaven Toppling Pill. You splashed some of your concoction, and I caught. Don't you goddamn dare say you caught a cold. Vicious Pill King cut him off in anger. I don't want to hear it. So he turned around, going back to his spot to begin a new refinement. Zhuo Fan shrugged. Qingtian saw Vicious Pill King go inside, knowing that trouble had been averted. With most of their power in this old coot's hands, and in Regent Estate's favor, falling out now would mean their loss. Thankfully, he still cared about his face and didn't want the world to know how despicable the Pill King Hall was. Quickly defusing this situation before matters blew out of proportions. Otherwise, Qingtian turned Zhuo Fan and spoke so only the two of them heard. Dear, can you tell me who you are? Chapter 140, The Shocking Universe Palm. Chapter 140, The Shocking Universe Palm. A shiver went through Zhuo Fan as he looked at her. Why you? How did you know? How could I not? Qingtian smiled and reproached. Dear, I'm waiting for your honest answer. Jay, just don't shout, all right? Edifice Lord Chu, it's all just a misunderstanding. I really didn't know this was what you meant at the time. Zhuo Fan was waving his hands frantically, then caught Vicious Pill King beginning his second refining and was getting nervous. We will talk about this later. After I kick this old coot out. He started to run as soon as he finished speaking. Qingtian was startled and was more disappointed than bewildered. It wasn't narcissistic of her when she always thought that her character and appearance were outstanding. She saw with her own eyes how 99% of the men who looked at her had dirty thoughts, and even those exceptions would at least talk to her like normal human beings. But none went as far as to run away. Zhuo Fan ran as if a crone was out to get him. She couldn't help but feel angry. Why is this brat so different as compared to other men? Others will try to act like gentlemen on such occasions, eloquent and smooth-talk me into doing what they want. Well, I guess those men normally pluck the flowers of hundreds of women already. Meanwhile, this guy is still a virgin. Qingtian blushed, admonishing herself. Just what am I thinking? But she had no way of knowing what was truly on Zhuo Fan's mind. He ran because he once climbed to the demonic emperor position. He knew full well that righteousness and women were the biggest dead weights in a man's pursuit for power. He wanted to regain his demon emperor power, to rise above and beyond. And to do that, he had to cast aside such weights. Qingtian didn't return to the terrace. She stood there, watching the only man who moved her heart running towards his first-place spot. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan only had a thirst for victory in his eyes, tacking a side glance as his returned archenemy, Vicious Pill King, now that he got his anger more or less under control, smiled wickedly. Brat, why did you even return? To make pills, of course. Zhuo Fan sighed inside. Vicious Pill King is the best in the empire after all. He recovered his calm after just a few breaths. Few people were capable of such a feat. Making pills? More like you came here to bother me. You overestimate me. How could I possibly dare to mess with you? Zhuo Fan snickered, shaking his head. Vicious Pill King was refining his ingredients with one hand while he grinned. If not to mess around, then what other point is there? With your snail pace speed, there's no hope you can win. So, that's why you thought I came to mess around. Zhuofan was quite calm. Vicious Pill King eyed him with contempt. Ha ha ha, if this was your plan all along, it may not have been half bad. Stopping me from making a 5th grade pill would get that Tao Danyang to finish first. Too bad, you were too conceited and spoke that nonsense about letting anyone who took first get your head. Wouldn't that also apply to Tao Danyang? Startled, the people's hearts grew nervous indeed. In this competition, only Zhuofan couldn't afford to lose. Once he fell from the top, his head would fall with him. Ha ha ha, I will enjoy killing you just as if I was the one who won. You think Tao Danyang can stop me? Vicious Pill King cackled, finally venting and releasing his anger. Qingtian frowned in worry for Zhuofan with a hint of reproach in her eyes. Be as insufferable as you want, but within limits. This old guy has leverage and will have your head. Yet, this is just how Qingtian would have acted. Qingtian watched on with love and hatred. Was she going to lose her loved one a second time? Tao Danyang was close to finishing when she heard this. Her hand trembled and the process stopped. Old hag, go on then. If you won't finish, someone else will. Zhuofan turned from her to Vicious Pill King and his eyes grew colder. Old coot, I told you. I will never leave this spot and no one can take it from me. Not you, not anyone. Zhuofan's hand suddenly ignited into a raging fire and gestured for tens of ingredients to fly inside. Watching the flame, it was no different from Vicious Pill King's or the other profound heaven experts' Yuan Qi flame. But after one breath, Zhuofan was sweating. Vicious Pill King laughed even harder. You little prick, your cultivation is not nearly enough to sustain such a strong flame. You're looking to die if you keep this up. Humph, narrow-minded old goat, yours truly will show you the difference between us. Zhuofan shouted and slapped the burning hand with a bang. The flame burned twice as strong and consumed all of Zhuofan's Yuan Qi in an instant. At this moment, Zhuofan's eyes flashed and his burning hand made a fist. The fire and the ingredients were all now squeezed inside in one blink. The towering flame had vanished into thin air. Only Zhuofan held his fist tightly. It was bright red and billowing smoke leaked from between his fingers. This whole process of putting the ingredients inside the flame and closing his fist took a few short breaths. Many didn't even catch him doing it, scratching their heads. Many looked at each other lost, not understanding what was going on. Vicious Pill King stared fixed at the fist and laughed. I was wondering what you're planning. But it's the same as before. Isn't it destroying all ingredients again? With ragged breath and ashen-faced, Zhuofan collapsed from exhaustion. But his smile turned unprecedentedly wicked. It seemed to convey endless confidence. Old coot, I may have done the same, but the result isn't. Taunting Vicious Pill King with his eyes, Zhuofan pumped his fist and then opened it. Everyone, the refining of a 5th grade pill is now complete. Zhuofan's shout resounded throughout the hall and a golden pill gleaming brilliantly spun around in his palm. The soothing fragrance, the luster, they all confirmed that it was indeed a 5th grade pill. In an instant, the audience devolved into chaos. Just what did Grandmaster Song do? How did he suddenly refine a pill? The top 10 alchemists closest to Zhuofan cried incessantly, "That's impossible!" They saw it most clearly. How Zhuofan turned a batch of ingredients into a pill in an instant. But this was also why they just couldn't believe it and couldn't accept it. They not only never seen such a godly refining skill, but did not even catch a rumor of it. Lu Yizhen watched Zhuofan in a daze, almost forgetting about his own task. His brain froze. He didn't understand ancient refining skills, but read records of them. Yet none of them held any reference that might allude to what this heaven-defying skill was. He made a 5th grade pill just by closing his fist? If refining is that easy, what pride would the alchemists of today have? A pill taking 2 hours to make just took seconds in your fist. On the terrace, Long Zhuo and the rest were dumbfounded. How was this alchemy? It was clearly pulling something out of thin air. This refining skill was too goddamned insane. It was no different from swindling. On the eastern terrace, Huangpu Qingyun and his men were dumbstruck as well. To this brat, Huangpu Qingyun was so surprised he could barely speak. His men didn't fare any better. The only eyes not looking at the pill was Zhuo Fan, who was holding it swallowing hard. Zhuo Fan waved the pill before the flabbergasted Vicious Pill King. Old coot, ever heard of Universe Palm? Vicious Pill King blinked hard and swirled his head. He looked at Zhuo Fan like looking at a freak. He stammered for a long time, but all that came out was a garbled mess. The shocking Universe Palm was unlike any ancient secret skill he used before. This was a heaven-defying ability. The alchemists seemed to have been in a dream. A refining skill that defined the heavenly laws actually existed in the world. Snorting, Zhuo Fan said, "Did you see, old coot? This is our difference. The difference between Heaven-Toppling Pill and Vicious Pill King is as big as heaven and earth." Vicious Pill King watched him dazed, and couldn't get any word out in rebuke. Zhuo Fan sneered with a shake of his head and showed the pill to Xiaoya. "Forgive me, my cultivation isn't enough and could only refine a high 5th grade pill. A perfect one shouldn't influence my spot, right?" The alchemists' faces twitched, feeling like crying. Making a 5th grade pill in a blink is heaven-defying enough, so why in God's name do you have to make it a high one too? Are you trying to steal our bread? Xiaoya felt dizzy. Zhuo Fan had to call her out a few times before he got a reaction. She rushed to receive the pill and assess it in detail. Grandmaster Song's high 5th grade pill is successful. He keeps the first place and enters the final round to compete for the position of Pill King. At her words, Zhuo Fan turned around and spread his arms. He looked at the audience, his cloak billowing, a manner exceedingly arrogant, and shouted, "As long as I stand in this spot, no one can take it." Grandmaster Song. The crowd's passion was ignited and pumped their fist as they called out his name. The Pill King finals had yet to start, but he had already become a Pill King in their eyes. Chapter 141, Yours Truly Wants to Kick You Out. Chapter 141, Yours Truly Wants to Kick You Out. Hearing the rumbling and fanatic cheers shaking even the heavens, Xie Tianyang looked envious. This punk does the same wherever he goes. If the world was in chaos, he'd be an overlord by now. Ha ha ha, even peace can't stop this kid's rise. Long Zhuo caressed his beard, his eye trembling with admiration. I knew long ago he isn't someone to mess with, but it still leaves me in awe whenever I see him. I can't help but wonder, what's his limit? The others heard him and turned to Zhuo Fan, being the star of the show, acting just like a king. They had to nod at Long Zhuo's assessment. Xiao Dandan listened to them praise Zhuo Fan, and pride got to her head. Her heart sweetened like honey. I found the best husband. He is leagues above the other men. Her thoughts were echoed by Chu Qingtian as well. Seeing Zhuo Fan worshipped by the crowd, the cheers he evoked unknowingly changed her slim body's position, striking a dignified and imposing look, as well as love-struck eyes. Every woman, even Chu Qingtian, hoped to find a shoulder to lean on. However, this was Drifting Flowers' edifice, a place where women governed. Furthermore, the people of Tianyu whose shoulders she could lean on could be counted on one hand. Not to mention, some had evil thoughts and were unworthy of trust. Not too long ago, she rested her weary body and hoped on the strong-armed Huangpu Qingyun, only to find out the latter chose his house over her. In spite of it all, Zhuo Fan came through in the end. She took him as a mere child and used him to comfort her heart. But she slowly came to realize that this man was the only one worthy of her trust. The praises, the veneration, and the kowtowing of the crowd was still ongoing, shaking the sky and jarring even the ears of the alchemists. Meddling with their refining, Xiaoya was in the arena, gesticulating all over the place and demanding silence. "Don't shout. Please remain." But no one heard her. Her sharp voice was drowned in the flood of praises. The only thing she could do was stomp in distress. Grinning, Zhuo Fan raised a hand to catch everyone's attention. The uproar from before was gone in an instant, like it never existed. The crowd seemed to have faded from the silence, with only the flames of the alchemists in the arena making small burning noises. Everyone, other alchemists are still refining. Please keep quiet for me. Zhuo Fan calmly flung his hair. There were nods all around, and even some zipping their mouths. Xiao Ye was exasperated. Whose goddamn competition is this? Grandmaster Song is too damn liked. Xie Tianyang's face twitched. Damn it. This punk is showing off again. In the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyun's mood sank ever lower. The bigger Zhuo Fan's popularity was, the harder it was for him to act. And this was something he did not want to see. As Zhuo Fan gained his current fame through alchemy, this was also the only way to crush it. And the only one up to the task was Vicious Pill King, but Vicious Pill King's confidence had begun to falter at this point. Looking at him, one could see Vicious Pill King ignoring everything around him and focused on refining his pill with all haste. The situation had gone out of his expectations. Instead of losing, Zhuo Fan kept his first spot in the third round. While Vicious Pill King was now on his second round of refining, putting him in last place. The only thing that worked as intended was his speed. Still very much capable of overtaking the others, Zhuo Fan knew this as well, and his grin turned into a sly smirk. A shiver struck Vicious Pill King out of the blue, but his mind was on refining. Suddenly, a flame flickered and Tao Danyang put out her flame, leaving behind a spinning and shining pill in her hand. Tao Danyang refined a high 5th grade pill. She enters the Pill King round. Xiao Ye's crisp voice resounded. Zhuo Fan raised his eyebrow and directed his belligerent eyes along with his flout at Vicious Pill King. Oh, even the hag finished. Elder Yen, didn't you say something about taking first place? How come you didn't even make it second place? Vicious Pill King's heart boiled with anger. Despite his quiet state, he knew Zhuo Fan's aim, to mess up his concentration and ruin the refining. Replying would fall into Zhuo Fan's trap. So he chose to bear it in silence. No matter what insults Zhuo Fan threw at him, he would ignore them this time. Zhuo Fan had a lot of time on his hand. Time which the Vicious Pill King needed. He was rushing as fast as possible, or the chance of elimination would be high at that point. The problem wasn't getting the Bodhi root, but saving his reputation. Zhuo Fan knew Vicious Pill King's mental state and wasn't worried. When you want to hit a person where it hurts, you need to do it at the precise time. It can't be too early or too late, and when you decide to go in for the attack, make sure he is sent to hell. Else there will be heavy retaliation. As such, Zhuo Fan's nagging was only setting up the playing field. He was simmering the opponent and would only truly act when the perfect chance availed itself. High 5th grade pill, refined. A familiar voice suddenly came and Yen Fu showed the pill in his hand with pride. Zhuo Fan's eyelid twitched and laughed. Elder Yen, you taught one amazing disciple. He surpassed you. But now another spot in the finals slips from your grasp. Vicious Pill King didn't reply, but his raging glare pierced his prized pupil. The proud and cheerful Yen Fu felt a frosty pair of eyes watching him. When he discovered they were from his master, he started shivering and lowered his head, sweating bullets. He had now realized his blunder. In this competition, how could a disciple dare finish refining before his master? Wasn't this taking his master's limelight, openly defying him? He regretted it until his innards turned green. But what was done was done. Vicious Pill King also didn't waste time arguing with his moronic disciple, rushing to finish his own pill. Oh, that's Vicious Pill King for you. He can still hold it in. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose and smiled faintly at Yen Song. Ha ha ha, I must say, I do admire Elder Yan's staunch character, able to bear even your disciple's disgrace. Too bad you fell for it regardless. Vicious Pill King only snorted, knowing it all to be a ploy to mess with his head. He would fall for the trap if he truly replied, uncaring if he heard or not. Zhuo Fan kept on talking. Did you know? I failed the first time I used the universe palm. Vicious Pill King's ears peeled without wanting to. He knew it was all a trap, but not even Vicious Pill King could block his ears when it came to a heaven-defying alchemy skill. With a vicious grin, Zhuo Fan resumed, I failed because the flame was too weak. I was perfectly aware of this even before I started. I didn't think of succeeding, just trying it out. In brief, I failed on purpose. Squinting, Vicious Pill King's heart skipped alongside his flame. He hastily calmed himself and resumed refining, but his hearing was now sharper. I only assumed the posture of losing for your benefit, while also earning the others' sympathy. All of it was to lower your guard, or my sneeze would have been stopped by you. With his jerking, Vicious Pill King's flame also trembled. He finally turned his head. So you acted right where the pill was at a crucial point, when I was most relaxed because of imminent success. Punk, such a vicious ploy is no less than you geekies. Ha ha ha, don't please. You're flattering me, Elder Yen. Zhuo Fan said, a plan is something that makes use of all available elements around oneself. Elder Yen said that these people can't save me, no matter how stirred they are. And you are indeed correct. They may not be able to save me, but they can help me deceive an old geezer. If you weren't taken by my wretched display, I fear you wouldn't have lowered your vigilance around me so quickly. Vicious Pill King clenched his empty fist. He hated himself for being toyed with by a brat at his age. Ha ha ha, don't be so hard on yourself. Picking up on his thoughts, Zhuo Fan laughed. Since you've always been focused on alchemy, you're not that erudite in schemes. Losing is only natural. If it were you geeky, he wouldn't have been duped. Humph, no matter what, I have suffered greatly this time. But don't get too excited. There won't be a second time. Vicious Pill King spat through clenched teeth, arching an eyebrow. Zhuo Fan laughed hysterically. Oh, forgive me, Elder Yen. This may be a tad insolent, but I must inform you that you've been had again. Startled, Vicious Pill King didn't understand. It was now that Luizhen and two others shouted. In these few breaths of time, 3 more people entered the final round. You may be quick in refining, your heart may be calm despite my words and didn't fail in your control, but I got to slow you down. A demonic smile was plastered on Zhuo Fan's face. Correct, yours truly's aim isn't to mess your concentration, but to drag out your refining and kick you out. Frightened, Vicious Pill King saw more and more alchemists around him were about to finish and was anxious by the second. For the first time, he was afraid. This punk is a plague. From the 3rd round, no, since the beginning, he set up such a vicious trap for me to spring it. What's even more frightening is that he got me twice. Seeing the half-refined ingredients in his hand, Vicious Pill King's mood grew gloomier. He walked this earth for so many years, but this was his first meeting with a deceitful opponent like Zhuo Fan. Chapter 142 Pill-Breaking Wind. Chapter 142 Pill-Breaking Wind. Since there was no way to block him, kicking him out was option B. This was Zhuo Fan's plan, cooked up from the moment he heard of the 3rd round's condition, as this round was based on speed. Cutting the old coot's speed would make it harder for him to enter the finals. With an evil smile, Zhuo Fan watched Vicious Pill King. The latter had been duped already, so why would he keep paying the brat any more attention? He was going as quickly as he could to finish the refining. And indeed, the best alchemist in the Empire wasn't one to disappoint, speeding through the process like a bullet. In but a few breaths, he was done with refining the ingredients. Next was forming the pill. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan wasn't the least bit worried. There were some things that, even though one knew they were wrong, they still couldn't stop themselves from doing them. Because they were still holding an interest in those things, and Vicious Pill King was no exception. Ahehem, Zhuo Fan coughed lightly. Elder Yen, I noticed your pill's ingredients and decided to run by you the 9th Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw's secret I used in the 2nd round. His ears perked without his knowledge, despite knowing it was one of Zhuo Fan's ploys, despite being certain that this secret was bogus. No matter how bad it looked and felt, the temptation was too great. He wanted to know more about such a magical refining skill, especially since he was an alchemist. He was only a breath from forming the pill's shape, but now the process was halted. His speed was now under Zhuofan's complete control. Laughing inside, Zhuofan still kept a serious face. Oh, going by its name, it has a dragon and claw in it. So your hand must also take the shape of a dragon claw. What a load of obvious bull. Vicious Pill King was clear as crystal of Zhuofan's scheme and didn't want to listen, but he only got his ears to blame for betraying him. Yet, hearing the mention of a secret, he stopped to listen more closely. But what reached his ears was nothing more than some superficial talk from Zhuofan. He felt like crying. So wretched that he wanted to cut his ears off with no choice. He turned to Xiaoye and blabbed like a little kid to his teacher. Judge, this brat is disrupting my refining. What, Grandmaster Song, is hindering you? How? Xiaoye looked skeptical with a red face. Vicious Pill King gnashed his teeth. The brat keeps gallivanting in my ear and distracts me. Silence followed throughout the arena, then shortly followed by rambunctious laughter. An alchemist's most important feature was his state of mind. What kind of alchemist are you to mess up your refining from a few words? How did you become the best alchemist in the Empire anyway? Everyone looked out with mocking smiles. This never ever happened before. How could they have known Zhuofan's words struck a nerve? He didn't want to listen, but his ears were a whole nother matter. Everyone would feel the same if they were in his stead. The more he heard the maniacal laughter, the redder Vicious Pill King got. His face was thoroughly caked in mud. Xiaoye's eyelid twitched and cursed. Elder Yen, you're not a child. Why are you complaining to me about such a simple matter? Yeah, we're just chatting and getting to know each other. Why did you have to go out and tattletale? Zhuofan liked to make a mountain out of a molehill, and jested. This launched the crowd into another round of laughter. Getting his anger under control after a few breaths, Vicious Pill King shouted at Xiaoye, "Wench, aren't you a judge? Do you even care? Why aren't you kicking this brat out?" Fine, I do care, all right? Xiaoye shook her head helplessly and giggled an apology to Zhuofan. Grandmaster Song, I appreciate it if you would not speak with Elder Yen as he refines. Why not come into the guest's corner for a drink? Raising an eyebrow, Zhuofan said, Fine, I'll listen and won't talk. True to his words, Zhuofan's lips were sealed. Then, the next second, Vicious Pill King found the world around him got quiet and turned to see the other competitors. Most of them reached the step to complete their pill. While he was only at the molding phase, he sped up at once and gathered all the refined mixture into one place and took the final form of a pill. 5th grade pill, completed. Another shout, another finalist. In total, there were 7 who qualified for the Pill King round. Vicious Pill King wiped the cold sweat from his brow and rushed urgently to finish the pill. Although worry had not left him in regards to a certain punk, fearful he might be up to something for the remainder of the process, he divided his attention to Zhuofan's every move, who, at this point, was on his best behavior, as if he abandoned any thoughts of thwarting Yen Song's progress. This punk is faking again. The last time, you got me out of carelessness, but this time, I will be on guard. The more this punk is at ease, the more certain it is he is waiting for me to show the slightest slip-up. Squinting, Vicious Pill King laughed coldly inside, while his heartstrings were also stretched taut. You won't get me a second time. Judge, I finished. Another shout marked the taking of the 8th spot of the finals. Vicious Pill King took a deep breath and worked hard to keep his calm while steadying the flame in his hand. Such a crucial time needed him to calm and tranquil. Seeing the pill in his hand had taken shape, Vicious Pill King gnashed his teeth and gave his 120%. This was a key moment, and failing was not an option. The silent and unmoving Zhuofan looked askance at his cautious nature in making the pill. Soon, he reached the final step. All that was left was to spur the flame and condense the pill, though he started to recall Zhuofan's sneeze, and was overly cautious of his interference. He could not be defeated a second time with the same trick. Vicious Pill King suddenly shouted inside, and the flame towered at this exact moment. The nightmarish sound came again. Achoo! Vicious Pill King's heart seized and flicked his sleeve to protect the flame, while also turning his back to Zhuofan, but this scare shook his focus, and the flame was trembling. Luckily, he was a veteran alchemist and stabilized his state of mind in a blink, preventing his pill from being ruined again. Sighing relieved, Vicious Pill King wiped his sweat and turned to see Zhuofan, only to find the person in question sneezing in another direction and rubbing his nose like nothing happened. Noticing the old geezer's look, Zhuofan eyed him back and cursed, "The hell you're looking at? Yours truly didn't disturb you." Stammering, Vicious Pill King was enraged, but no word came out. "You don't need to talk to annoy me. Your presence is enough harassment as it is." Vicious Pill King suddenly felt dead tired. Not of the body, but in the mind. He had been on this earth for many years, but never was he as exhausted as he was now, who could go through the refining process with one's nerves stretched tighter than a violin. He had to admit to one thing, though. Never in his life had there been anyone acting the same Zhuofan did. Noticing his master's embarrassment, Yen Fu was taken aback. Never was there a time when his ruthless master was pushed back again and again. Turning to the first spot, he saw Zhuofan with a cryptic smile, and his heart chilled for some unknown reason. Tao Danyang saw Yen Song sullen and couldn't help be chipper. Chu Qingtian saw him getting toyed by Zhuofan, and her eyes shined with affection. The people on the terrace already laughed their hearts out. Yen Song had been a literal plague over the 7 houses, but now he was put in his place by a newbie. One couldn't help but relish the moment. One thing was clear, though. The brat wasn't ordinary. If any took his place, they would have long failed miserably. In the end, only Demon Zhuofan had ever beaten Vicious Pill King. They sighed. Yen Song was wicked beyond words, and only someone more wicked than him, a demon like Zhuofan, could settle this. Vicious Pill King Huangpu Qingyun and his men in the eastern stand watched the scared Vicious Pill King with trepidation. If this old bag of bones loses, the Bodhi root will leave my grasp. Taking deep breaths, Vicious Pill King watched the almost finished pill and worked hard to calm his mind. He knew what everyone was thinking, which made this bout was just as important for him as it was to Zhuofan. If Zhuofan lost, his head would roll. If Vicious Pill King lost, not only his name would be dragged through the mud, the regent estate would bestow him its endless wrath. Vicious Pill King's eyes squinted and boosted the flame in his hand. The roaming pill inside the flame also lit up in a strange light. Vicious Pill King's eyes flashed and his mouth perked up at a corner in hope. Almost there. Just a bit more and I'm done with this exhausting refining. This goddamn round is so exhausting. Bam! A large sound came out of the blue. Vicious Pill King jerked and his towering flame shuddered and exploded. Vicious Pill King didn't even notice his scorched beard and eyebrows, as the almost done pill was now junk. Vicious Pill King went stiff and stared into space. He turned around to see where the sound came from. Zhuofan scratched his head, embarrassed, with a dashing smile. Do forgive me. I just couldn't hold it and farted. Was it too loud? SSS. Vicious Pill Kings couldn't stop trembling. He watched the beaming Zhuofan with his black beard whipping in the wind, but was unable to make one word from the sheer anger he felt. Chapter 143 Damaged Vitality. Chapter 143 Damaged Vitality. Ha ha ha, damn. I admire this brat. Up on the terrace, Xie Tianyang slapped the table as he roared in laughter. No matter where you go in the Tianyu Empire, all you hear about Vicious Pill King is how powerful and influential he is. But when he is here, he's actually reduced to such a wretched state. Look at him. He is on the verge of crying, so angry he can't even speak. He's so miserable, I even pity him. This brat is inhuman. How can he be like this to his elders? Ha ha ha, Xie Tianyang cursed Zhuofan, while also laughing. Long Zhuo and Jian Suifeng's gazes met and smiled. But when they looked back at Zhuofan, their eyes were filled with admiration. Long Jie and Long Kuei felt more and more complicated. Instead, they were of the same age, and even came from one of the best houses in Tianyu, but they only got to be supporting roles for the elders of their house, while Zhuofan, a servant from a third-rate clan, was fighting head-to-head with the empire's most famous, and even came at an advantage at that. Why was the gap so large when they were of the same generation? Peony Overseer and Iris Overseer watched the thin figure in complete control over the whole situation in such awe, they couldn't even speak. The two tasted vicious Pill King's cruelty and treachery on their own skin. Yet they knew. Not even the entire Drifting Flowers edifice was enough to defeat him. However, today, the old geezer was like a puppet played by this mysterious youth to exhaustion. His wretched figure, unable to even cry, was something the two women never even believed was possible. Was this the same cruel and sinister vicious Pill King? Swallowing dryly, the overseers watched each other, but it was Iris Overseer, in the end, who walked to Long Zhuo. Uncle Zhuo, stop being so cryptic and tell us, who is this fake Song Yu already? Whose clan's young master is he? Or is he an inner disciple from a sect? Caressing his beard, Long Zhuo shook his head, his eyes at a loss. Clan? Ha ha ha, his clan is nothing more than a firefly. As for sects, I never heard of any being mentioned. In short, this brat is one huge enigma. Not even Uncle Zhuo knows? Peony Overseer was startled as she rushed over. Then why do you have so much faith in him? Faith? Humph, as if. Xie Tianyang snorted. Out of everyone I trust, he is absolutely not among them. None of you know his true nature. 1 second he is buddy-buddy with you, and in the next, he casts you aside, changing tunes faster than you can turn a page. If you put your faith in him, you won't even know how or why you died. This made Xie Tianyang recall something, and his eyes were filled with dread. You cannot imagine a crueler and more sinister man in this world. I recall that condescending grin when he sold out Ninger, and it gives me chills even now. Their hearts shuddering, the overseers noticed Xie Tianyang being truthful. But if this man was such a monster, why were Long Zhuo and the rest respecting him so? Xiao Dandan was irked by Xie Tianyang's description of Zhuofan and barked, "You keep saying my husband is your friend, but why do curse him behind his back, and even call him a traitor?" Me curse? Ha ha ha, that's the truth of it. And he won't deny it either. Xie Tianyang laughed, but if there's one thing I admire about him, it's his hypocrisy. Then why are you all still friends with him? Peony Overseer asked, puzzled. They all started laughing. How could we not? Iris Overseer was thoroughly confused. None of them clearly trusted him, and even said he was worse than a human, but why were they so reliant on him? Like a true friend, leaving him in charge of everything. Wasn't this a contradiction? Seemingly seeing her doubt, Xie Tianyang smiled. Iris Overseer, trust and entrusting are different things. He is not a friend worthy of trust, but he is a brother to entrust in. And that is because of his strength. Xie Tianyang pointed at the wretched vicious Pill King. Tell me, if it weren't for our untrustworthy friend, how would you have dealt with that old geezer? Shuddering, the overseers now understood what he meant. It wasn't that this mysterious youth was worthy of trust to place Drifting Flowers Edifice's fate in his hand. It was that there was no one else up for the job. Lounging in his stone chair, Xie Tianyang's look softened when he gazed at Zhuofan. Do you know why you have such faith in an unworthy friend? Because he is the only one worthy of it. Without him, I would have lost the one I love. I believe I cannot repay this favor for as long as I live. This is why I spoke without hesitation at the feast and put Sword Marquis's abode in the face of danger for Drifting Flowers Edifice's sake. This shocked the two overseers greatly. It now came to light that Sword Marquis's abode and Veiled Dragon Pavilion did not help them because of Drifting Flowers Edifice, but because the brat asked them to, they started to laugh dejectedly. One of the 7 noble houses, Drifting Flowers edifice, with a history of over a millennium, had lost in terms of reputation to a random kid. If grandmother knew this, she would be flipping out right about now. Achoo! On the first spot, Zhuo sneezed for no rhyme or reason. But for real this time, rubbing his nose, Zhuo cursed inside, Who the hell is talking behind my back?" He looked at Vicious Pill King staring blankly. "It's gotta be this old coot cursing me in his mind. Don't you worry now, I will have your life soon enough." Zhuo eyes flashed with killing intent, but this time, the old guy was innocent. Ever since his loss in the second round, out of anxiety, except for feeling anger, he didn't dare to even curse Zhuo in his mind. All who entered the third round were famous grandmasters of alchemy. He may not be up to Vicious Pill King's level, but he had refining skills to make up for it. After one failure, Yen Song could still catch up. But now, he fell behind too much, and there was no hope for a comeback. He now started to truly panic, but the more restless his heart was, the less he could think of a way out. Zhuo laughed coldly inside, having foreseen this. In fact, the 2 failures happened all according to Zhuo plan, right when they were about to finish being refined. This also worked to make him waste the most of his time. Even if he didn't intervene in his third refining, the Vicious Pill King still wouldn't make it. Plainly speaking, Vicious Pill King lost the third round, but more importantly, he was played around like a fiddle by Zhuo. Tao Danyang's eyes flashed in glee. She never would have thought Zhuo capable of having Vicious Pill King kicked out of the competition now. Regardless of who of the 2 won, Bodhi Root would stay with Drifting Flowers edifice. Qingtian found Zhuo more and more to her liking. To take Xiao Dandan's earlier words, this husband was far stronger than the last. Got it. Vicious Pill King face-bombed out of the blue. He took out 8 silver needles in haste and stuck them in his head. Silver needle acupoint. Zhuo raised an eyebrow and smiled. The old guy wanted to seal his hearing and avoid any disturbance. "Why didn't you do it sooner then? Yours truly needn't interfere since you're through anyway." But Vicious Pill King flashed a flame on his hand and threw ingredients in. 5th grade pill, complete. And another shout came, marking the 9th finalist. The rest were also working hard. The slowest needed around 3 minutes, while the fastest ones are around half a minute. Humph. This old coot is done for. Zhuo laughed coldly while the other alchemists were getting excited. This was their chance, perhaps the only one in their lives, to beat Vicious Pill King. Suddenly, a blood arrow was spat into the flame, and the fire towered 10 meters high, many times stronger than before. In a blink, all the ingredients were refined. Zhuo squinted. This old coot is dead serious on entering the finals to use even his blood essence. Too bad, not even this could make a pill in time. Then another blood arrow was spat and Vicious Pill King rushed to make signs despite the blood around his mouth. In a blink, the blood turned into the shape of a pill and the concoction resulted from refined ingredients rushed inside. A shout later, Vicious Pill King's flame grew bigger, and the lustrous blood pill came out while emitting dense energy. Vicious Pill King grabbed the pill and shouted, "5th grade pill, complete! 5th grade pill, complete!" At almost the same time, another shout echoed. Xiaoya eyed the 2 and came to Vicious Pill King, who finished first and nodded after inspecting the pill. "Elder Yan's low 5th grade pill is complete. He enters the finals." He was pulling the last silver needle when he heard her. Vicious Pill King sighed and swayed. But this did not wipe the relief on his face from his wan face. Zhuo knew he damaged his vitality. He may have qualified, but now he could refine no more. That you're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.